Goodbye, big poster. Hello, little poster.
Hey guys, welcome back to my very first Twitch stream. Pre-recorded and edited to be put on YouTube. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but there's been a bit of a pattern developing lately, and it's not a good one. It all started in January when this clip went viral of a Twitch streamer furious at the idea of going a few minutes without making any money.
About how I need subs to keep the stream going if you like the content, blah, blah, blah. How that results in 0 subs. There are regulars here. $5 a month. $5. $5 to provide for the content that you're watching. Look at, I have a wall of non-subs. This is fucking actually really heartbreaking. Because it's like people just really really don't respect me as a content creator.
Predictably, this sparked outrage on Twitter. People made YouTube videos about it. And despite the overwhelming majority opinion that this girl was in the wrong for doing this, it was probably the most attention she'd ever gotten. Interesting how creating outrage will do that, which brings us to culprit number 2, this one from just last month.
I'm unemployed, so basically all my money goes to bills and food, or I would support you. Yeah. It's $5. Being like, I'm broke, I can't afford to sub, that doesn't really track. What you mean to say is, I'm so irresponsible with my money, I can't support the entertainment that I enjoy. That's what that is.
Guys, $5 isn't that much money. That's why I'm begging you for it. But once again, more Twitter outrage, more viral YouTube videos about it, and the internet coming together once more to shame this self-righteous person, as they should. But the pattern continues.
500 subs. We gotta get to 500 subs. It's the only way I'm committing to a stream schedule. We're at 187. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
All right. Now I'm starting to get suspicious. Why is Amanda Cerny, an internet veteran, making the same mistakes as these other streamers? Is she not aware of the backlash they got, or even if being slightly misconstrued, how her words could have the same effect? Or is she extremely aware of that, and that's the reason she did this? You see, like a lot of people, I've been aware of Amanda Cerny for a few years now. She was a former Viner, turned Instagram comedian, turned total afterthought in my brain. But now, thanks to this clip and the subsequent tweets about it, I'm not only reminded of the fact that she exists, but also now I know that she's Twitch streaming. A lot of people know that now. All it takes is one trip to her social blade to see how many people know that now. Could it be that given the current climate of the internet, that the most effective marketing tool for your Twitch stream is to do this exact thing? It's working for her so far, and thank God it was. If it wasn't for this clip being passed around, I would have missed out on some of the best Red Dead 2 gameplay I've ever seen.
I killed my horse?
Now, if we're to take these 3 clips at face value and compare them, this is by far the most defensible one. I can kind of understand what she means by saying her words were taken out of context. I think maybe someone was just asking her like what her schedule is, and all she's saying is, I want to have a consistent schedule, but until this becomes a viable source of income for me, I'd be better off using my time to make money in other ways, which is a fine sentiment. It's more so the way it came off. She has this sense of exasperation, like, guys, I've been streaming for 4 days already and only 187 people have agreed to give me money? Because a lot of people watch that and think, shit, you're lucky to be in that position. People stream for years without any subscribers. They just do it because they like it. So when people like Amanda Cerny, an already very rich person, go to Twitch and wonder why people aren't immediately throwing their money at them, it just comes off as entitled and out of touch. You've only streamed like 10 times. Have you ever considered that maybe you're just not that good at it yet and it will take some practice before people want to reward you for just putting forth the bare minimum effort? I feel like most people, especially already established creators on the internet, assume Twitch streaming is like the easiest thing in the world. Oh, you just sit there and play video games all day? I could do that. But the streamers people watch, the ones I watch consistently, are really fucking good at it. They're funny and entertaining, they put on a show, or they're just extremely good at the game they're playing, or they have a skill that most people don't have that's fun to watch. Maybe if you created a fun fun environment, or were better at the game you're playing, or even if you just interacted with your chat instead of staring at your phone every time a cutscene comes on, people would see the value in spending money to support your stream. The quickest way to make people angry is to act as if you're entitled to their money by merely existing in front of them, like they should be honored to have the privilege of financially supporting you. Also, what a huge slap in the face to the people who already did subscribe, as if their support means nothing. But the fact of the matter is, whether she meant to stir the pot or just did so by accident, this is the best advertising for her stream she could have possibly asked for. I wouldn't be surprised if she already doubled her 500 sub goal by now just by saying something dumb. Speaking of numbers, I want to go back and talk some more about Invader V, who is also doing just fine despite saying much worse things.
That's so toxic, especially when people are losing their jobs. It really isn't.
One half-assed apology later, and her army of white knights continues to grow stronger by the day. Even during that stream, she was getting new subs left and right. Now, if you guys don't mind, I want to go ahead and break down her apology because I think it's a real masterclass in saving face.
Hi. You're here right now because you've seen a clip of me, and you're very angry about what I said in that clip.
Sure am.
What I said was tone deaf, insensitive, and stupid. The clip that you saw does not represent my true feelings.
Wait, what?
I expressed opinions that I do not hold at all. I said things that I don't mean, and they were vile.
Oh, wait, hold on. You can do that? You can go off on a whole strongly opinionated tangent and then just say, well, actually, that wasn't my opinion. That's why I said it, because it wasn't what I felt.
What I said was wrong in any context, but especially in the context of a global pandemic.
So next, she opens the floor for questions and then struggles to answer any of them and just moves on.
I want to talk to you. I want to hear your voices. I want to answer the questions that you have. With all due respect, why didn't you apologize before the clip blew up? Okay. That's a difficult question to answer. I wish that I could talk about it all day and answer each and every one of your questions.
You can.
I wish that I could give you a satisfactory answer so that you could see who I really am.
So do that.
But that's not what this is about.
That's not what this apology is about. It's not about apologizing.
I'll BRB. Just give me a quick moment, everybody.
And that's the whole apology. It was like 8 minutes of her saying she didn't actually mean what she said, and she wants to take this opportunity to learn and grow from it, which is why she's gonna spend the next 3 hours ignoring questions and acting defensive.
Great memes in chat, everybody. I like seeing the same 5 comments repeated 800 times.
It's so funny. It took her like 4 days to apologize and then about 10 minutes for her to get mad at everyone for bringing it up. I think this person's comment that I saw kind of just sums it up perfectly. So at this point, I was pretty invested in the situation and I had to dive deeper, especially when she said this.
Thank you, Upright Lion, for understanding that an entire person cannot be summed up in a 30-second clip.
That's an important detail to point out. See, V wants us to think that all of her fuck-ups were contained within that one 30-second clip that went viral. However, that's not true, and I know that because for some reason the VOD from that stream is still up on her channel. You can still go watch the entire thing. Don't worry though, you don't have to do that because I have nothing going on in my life and I already did. It starts off small with some not so subtle guilt trips here and there.
How are you doing, V? I would be better if you subbed to me. Sometimes I just listen to you while I'm working. Dan, I hope that while you're working extra hard and you're cashing in that fucking money, you also throw a sub my way. Thank you all of you for subbing. Thank you all of you for being reasonable people.
But as it goes on, it gets more and more manipulative.
Well, yes, streamers do provide hundreds of hours of content for free. If anything, you do owe them. They don't really owe you anything.
No. That's not true. Nobody owes you anything. People watching your stream, they're watching the ads before your stream. They're boosting your stream in like the rankings just by being there. The more viewers you have, the more likely it is other people are gonna see. They don't really owe you a subscription. Twitch is a free platform. If they wanna watch you for free, they can. And what she said is especially false too the other way, where it's like once people are giving you money, they're paying a subscription fee to enable you to make content, you do owe them now. You owe them the content that they paid for. But as bad as that statement was, it only gets worse.
That's so toxic, especially when people are losing their jobs. It really isn't. And if you believe it is, then I imagine that you simply don't understand how this platform works. and I encourage you to get more perspective.
How can someone be so wrong and so condescending at the same time? At this point, even her fans, the people who were watching in this moment, started questioning her logic, but she would not back down. She would not admit that maybe she's wrong.
Some people work and struggle and they don't have $5 still. You're obviously not the person that I was speaking to, but you seem so self-centered that you thought I was talking specifically to you. I wasn't. I was speaking to the group, honey. These are exquisite contributions to a very good conversation. And these people in chat who are making these comments do not appear as immature, childish cheapskates whatsoever. They're just sitting here masturbating as hard as they possibly can, as quietly as they can, because their parents are in the next room talking about how disappointed they are in them. And they're like, why would I ever pay for this when this slut's giving it away for free?
What the fuck? The best part of that clip is what happens right after it. She's just sitting there giggling at her own hilarious joke, and she stops to look at her phone and I think sees a text from someone who's probably like, dude, what the hell are you doing?
Oh my goodness.
That instant shift in her facial expression is priceless. But it doesn't affect her for more than a few seconds, because then she goes right back to her echo chamber where she has no reason to believe that she's saying anything wrong. Most of her audience is not fazed at all by this. She could probably be beating them to death with a shovel and they would still just comment on how hot she is. I think I love you. And the ones who are challenging what she's saying are far outnumbered by the people who are commenting things like this.
I've never watched a person that's so nice to people that they don't even know. Wow, you are so nice.
What? Are we watching the same stream? It doesn't matter though. She's so confident in her ability to mentally overpower her loyal horde of simps that she can just blatantly contradict herself.
Well, I never said if you don't have $5 for me, you should be out there working. I didn't actually say that. If you don't have $10, you probably don't have time to watch Twitch because you should be working. But you did say that. No, worst gamer ever. You definitely heard that, but that is not actually what I said. You should be working. I didn't say if you don't have $5 for me, you're irresponsible with your money. I'm so irresponsible with my money. I didn't say if you don't have $5 for me, you're irresponsible with your money. If you don't have $5 to sub to a Twitch streamer that you watch, you're probably irresponsible with your money.
Could have just deleted the VOD and I wouldn't have been able to edit that together, but that's your fault. Her argument doesn't end there though. She really wants you to give her some money. So she starts comparing her stream to the cost of other things to show you how valuable it is.
It's less expensive than a Netflix account, and you're not stuck with a number of screens. If you pay for one Twitch subscription, that goes against that will transfer to every platform that you want to watch Twitch on.
I'm sorry guys, 1 second. Hold on, I just gotta be around here somewhere. No, it's not. Huh. Sorry guys, I was just trying to find the logic here. Your subscription is more valuable than Netflix because people can watch you on multiple devices? Last time I checked, Netflix has like 1 billion movies, doesn't beg me for money, and there's no free version of it. I can watch your stream for free. Now, here's the thing. I know that I don't have to be as annoyed by this as I am. And I really wanted to try and give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was just having a really bad day and she said some stupid shit because she was angry. I've gotten angry and said stupid shit. I don't think that defines you as a person. So every couple of days I would check to see if she was streaming, and if she was, I'd pop in for like 20 minutes here and there just to get a sense of the vibe. And my first takeaway was that she seems very smart. Although she also likes to tell people that she is.
It's so funny, people ask, they're like, how do you know so much? Like, how are you able to speak on so many topics? And then they ask, and do you watch all these TV shows? The answer is the same. I think one of the reasons why I'm able to speak on so many different types of topics is because I don't spend a lot of time watching TV.
But I think she's extremely well spoken. I think she does a good job of moving the conversation along, especially considering how most of the replies are just utter nonsense. And I actually felt myself starting to pull away from my frustration. But then a few minutes into one of the first live streams I clicked on, she brought up the situation again and said this.
A lot of people were, again, talking about like how I should get a job or I should work. I thought it was quite funny because a lot of the streamers who were saying things like that, I've had more jobs than they have. I've worked harder than they have. A lot of them are just professional streamers who have been gaming since they were 16, 17, 18 years old. I've actually been working since I was that age, and I wasn't doing it in front of an audience. It wasn't glamorous streaming work, trust me.
Okay, first of all, I scrolled through Twitter at the time. I didn't see any big streamers telling her to get a real job. The tweets I saw all had some pretty valid points, so I don't know what you're talking about. But hold on, I thought your whole reason for demanding subs was that you deserve people's money because you work so hard, right? And streaming's not as easy as people think.
The more proficient you are at something, the easier it looks.
But when other people have the same job as you, For them, it's just glamorous streaming work. My God, the hypocrisy. It's incredible how she's tried to shift the narrative here despite having no solid ground to stand on, which makes me think, is this all part of it too? Let's recap. First, she demands that people give her money, which they do. Video of that blows up, so she apologizes to save face, but welcomes all the brand new viewers. Some of them are only there to leave hate comments because of what she said, which is unfortunate, but of course, she uses it as an opportunity to play the victim, which leads to even more people donating and subscribing because they want to cheer her up, and with that, the cycle is complete. Well done, V. Well done. And guys, I know. If this was all bait, I fell for it so hard. I'm like the world's dumbest fish.
Is that a T-bone steak attached to a sharp object? I'm not falling for that.
But I do like steak. In conclusion, don't do this. Don't try and guilt people into giving you their money, and don't berate them when they give you a valid reason why they can't. If people want to support you and they have the ability to support you, more often than not, they're going to support you. Also, guys, seriously, don't go and harass anyone that I talked about in this video. If you're mad, I get it. I'm mad too, clearly. But I'm giving you an open invitation now to just vent about it down in the comments. But please don't go to someone's live stream and comment inflammatory shit just to try to get a reaction out of them. That's not cool. To end this video on a positive note, I would like to shout out some of my favorite streamers, because I do watch Twitch almost every day. Number one, Chris Melberger. He's the GOAT, in my opinion. He's so consistently entertaining. Eddie, Gus, Jake, they're all streaming pretty regularly now, and I think they're killing it. Not just because they're my friends, although that's definitely part of it. Jenna and Julian are always great. Thomas Middleditch is on Twitch now. What the hell? I love that guy. Also, if you haven't, go watch his Netflix special with Ben Schwartz. It's the hardest I've laughed in months. There are so many wonderful people on Twitch, and I hate that the ones who abuse it might lead people to think that it's just a cesspool filled with greedy assholes, when really that's the minority. But anyway, stay safe out there. Goodbye. I had multiple people tell me that I was on their YouTube Wrapped as a cooking channel. All it takes is one video and your entire career path changes. I'm a chef now, and there's nothing you or I can do about it. I decided to make that video again for the same reasons I did last time, which is that turning self-improvement activities into content is unfortunately the only way to get myself to actually do them. My goal last time was to expand my repertoire of healthy meals. And then I kind of just made 6 different versions of meat bread. I'm gonna try to focus a little bit more on variety this time. At least as much as I can. My algorithm still hasn't recovered from my protein video.
To make my meals even more convenient, I store them in easy to access areas.
I guess it knows I'm a pretty healthy guy. That's why I've spent the past 4 years gaining and losing the same 7 pounds over and over again. This year though, this year's gonna be different. Yeah, this time will be different. 2026 is nothing like 2025, even though I'm the same person with the same brain.
I've seen so many variations of this. High protein pizza, because instead of using dough, you use chicken. And then there's protein from the chicken, and there's protein from the cheese, and there's protein from the pepperoni. In fact, in this entire pizza, if I were to eat it all in one sitting, it would be 179 grams of protein. I'm probably not going to do that. I'm gonna start, as I do with all foods, with one bite, and work my way up from there. Touch raw chicken, gotta wash my hands. Touch raw eggs, gotta wash my hands. Don't mind me, I'm just grating cheese. I'm following the instructions perfectly. If it looks like there's a little bit of a different kind of cheese in there, it's not because I accidentally put in the mozzarella when I was supposed to do Parmesan. It wouldn't be that, because I know how to read. I wouldn't make a mistake that simple.
Oh yeah, that's looking real nice.
God, why must you give your hardest battles to your weakest soldiers? I wanna lick that bowl clean so bad.
I can hear Bim Bim running around like crazy. She loves pizza.
She's never had it before, but she fucking loves it. Ooh, that's what I like to see. I'm not dying tonight.
This is the first time it started to smell like pizza.
And what do I do first, the pepperoni or the cheese? I didn't work at Papa John's like my friend did. I worked at a snow cone restaurant. And none of the skills I learned there have translated to real life. You know, if you look a little too closely at the edges, it is slightly abhorrent. But if you ignore that, it kind of looks like pizza. Every step of the process, it's gotten a little bit closer to looking like pizza. And this is as close as it's gonna get. Okay, gotta say, so far, pretty heavy on the ratio of ground chicken to everything else. It mostly just tastes like a giant chicken nugget, but just like slimier. Hey, do you want a slice? No interest at all. That's not a good sign. I honestly love all of the parts of it that aren't the ground chicken crust. Probably because everything else is just regular pizza ingredients. So that's the part that tastes like pizza. I love how all of the top comments on this video were like, that's way too much to eat all in one sitting. You don't need to worry about that, okay? I'm struggling to finish half. I don't think I'd eat the whole thing with a gun to my head. It was a pound of chicken, 2 eggs, a whole bunch of cheese, pepperoni. I think that's all of the ingredients. Most things with this much protein don't taste this good. I would give that like a high B to a low A. Oh God, that was a lot. All right, pulling double duty today. I got some chicken mozzarella sticks that this guy's just like pointing at. And on the side, this. Honestly, looks good. Might be the only ethical use of cottage cheese I've seen in an Instagram video. I do love how many of these videos start off with, did you know, before saying like the weirdest bullshit you've ever heard. No, actually, I didn't know that. I didn't know you could bake cottage cheese into chips. Where the hell would I even get that information? Really running out of space already. I think I'm only gonna be able to fit 6 on here. If I'm going to all the trouble to do this, I'm not gonna only make 6. All the trouble to do this, and I'm just putting cottage cheese on a, on a baking sheet. My standard for what counts as cooking is so low. I have a bigger baking sheet. I'm gonna use a different one instead. I'm just doing 6. I'm just gonna do 6. I don't even know if I like them yet. I'm like, I gotta make 100. Okay, and now we wait 35 to 45 minutes. And in the meantime, I'm gonna air fry these things.
I'm just now finding out that if you take 6 cheese sticks and a pound of ground chicken and wrap the cheese sticks in the chicken, you get stuffed chicken fries that are low-cal, high protein, and taste absolutely phenomenal.
What do you mean, why are you just finding this out?
Why am I just finding out?
You clearly watched someone else's video, and instead of sharing it or stitching it even and giving them credit, you just took a bunch of screenshots that you can point at and be like, oh, did you know about this? What the heck?
Am I the only one that finds it insane?
This video is peak short form content. This is a guy who understands that nobody is ever making any of these recipes. They just want to look at them. They just want to be impressed by new information. Wait guys, exciting news. Hulu just updated their terms and conditions. Sorry, this is the only way I could think to do this. The important thing is, it's gonna be fresh. And they say being a YouTuber isn't hard work. Bimma wants me to feed her. I've always done this thing where when daylight savings time comes, I normally feed her at 5 o'clock, but then daylight savings comes and 5 o'clock becomes 6 o'clock. And now she doesn't know that. She doesn't know the difference because she doesn't have clocks. She doesn't use clocks. She doesn't have a cell phone that tells her the time is different. The time is the same to her every day. So when daylight savings time comes, I feed her at 6 o'clock instead, right? That used to work, but recently, with this last time change, she begs me right at 5 o'clock that she wants food. And so then I'm like, who gave you a clock? Cats don't know how to tell time. How does she know that 5 o'clock is now 6 o'clock? And so 5 o'clock, which is what used to be 4 o'clock, is when I should feed her. Because if I start feeding her at 5, then when the time changes back, I'm gonna have to feed her at 4. And then the following year, I'm gonna have to feed her at 3. And then before you know it, I'm waking up at this fucking sunrise to feed my cat. Everyone in the world has the same air fryer. When you see a video and they talk about air frying, it's the one with like the handle that you pull out and the parchment paper. I don't have that. I have a toaster oven / air fryer. I'm just gonna use it anyway. Okay, wasn't so bad, huh? The more turd-shaped, the better. I think those look pretty good.
Seems to be delicious.
Yeah, maybe I didn't do a great job mincing the garlic. Maybe I got a little lazy about it. These are gonna be interesting. It looks crispy on the outside, but there's no way it's cooked through on the inside. Isn't it cool that instead of showing you what I can see, I'm just describing it to you verbally? Exactly what the visual medium of YouTube is all about. I'm curious if they're totally stuck to the bottom. I don't see why they wouldn't be. I made no attempt to make it not stick. What did I expect? What did I expect would happen? This is so bad. Where did I go wrong with such a perfect recipe? How could this have happened? In the meantime, we have one in the back that is burnt to a crisp. The other ones don't look cooked at all. And that I probably burnt the shit out of. I couldn't have timed this any worse. I'm gonna put it in a bowl because all my plates are in the dishwasher right now. Holy fucking shit. Oh. Yikes. This is not a chip at all. This is just hot cottage cheese. You know, this one's kind of done. There's one thing I know about cottage cheese pancakes. It's that you don't want to overdo it. Got these. I didn't have to make this video. The range of colors on here is so small. From light gray to like a slight brownish gray. I'm probably not gonna make these again. You know what? These are actually pretty good. And it's not just because I'm so disgusted by these that anything would have been better in comparison. I think I made something tasty. I guess it's because at the end of the day, no matter how bad of a job I do, it's still garlic and cheese. It's kind of hard to make those taste bad. I don't know if I would make it again because I didn't really enjoy the process of making it, but now that I have it made in front of me, I'm definitely gonna eat them. I'm never doing this shit again in my life. Each bite is like a slot machine of, is it gonna be too mushy or too hard? Probably gonna give that one like a D+. The chicken mozzarella stick thing, that's an A-. It tastes really good. I just didn't like making it. Oh my God. All right, now it's time for dessert. Very exciting day today, or actually tomorrow will be the exciting day. This is like a 2-day process and I'm starting it today, but eventually it will be exciting. I was getting so many Instagram reels from this guy who makes these creamies, I guess they're called. I hate that word. I hate using that word, but I'm gonna have to say it so many times during this section. But yeah, this guy's made like 1,000 creams before and he's like a cream expert and he wants everybody to taste the cream that he makes. I got this machine and I paid for his recipe book because I'm all about supporting independent creators. And also it was the only way to get the recipes. I also had to buy a bunch of random crap for this. Monk fruit sweetener, cake batter extract, vanilla bean paste, an entire 12-pack of Prime Bites protein brownies, so I could use half of one of them, cocoa powder, and also black cocoa powder. He specifically specified to use both of them. I don't know what the difference is. I guess they listen to different kinds of music. And of course, none of this would be possible without xanthan gum. And nothing else. Wow, I haven't done an unboxing in so many years. I hope I remember how. We're gonna start with Brownie Batter Blizzard. Now comes the scary part, the part that uses a motorized blade. Pint number 1, complete. Okay, maybe it looks a little bit less like ice cream and more like a tall poop donut, but I don't hate it. And now for the best part, the half of a brownie. Okay, well that didn't go so well. Oh yeah, I don't even want to eat it. I kind of just want to look at it. I need to enjoy this moment for as long as possible. The moment where I think it's going to taste really good. Because I know as soon as I take a bite, I'm gonna be disappointed. But in the meantime, I'm just excited that I did something correctly. You know what? I might just be saying this because this took literally 24 hours to make and I would be so disappointed if it sucked, but it doesn't suck. And to think just one day ago, this was a regular protein shake and also 12 other ingredients. It's just really cold on my teeth is all. I know it looks like I'm suffering. It has nothing to do with the flavor. It's merely the temperature. One of the best cups of shit I've ever had. Now, to be clear, it very much does taste like if you turned a protein bar into ice cream, which is to say, it's kind of good, but not as good as the thing it's pretending to be. I'm just excited about all the doors I've opened up with this machine, all the different variations of cream that I can make, and you better believe I'm gonna make them all. Raspberry cheesecake. Well, I just made a horrifying discovery while editing this video. I made 3 of these creamies a few days ago and I've slowly been eating them one by one. But this raspberry cheesecake one just did not turn out right. I thought it looked pretty good, but it was so thick and had literally no flavor. It had the consistency of cream cheese, but tasted like the container that cream cheese is sold in. And my dumbass was like,
Stupid recipe. Must have been the cream master's fault. Surely it wasn't anything I did wrong. Now, here's what happened. I was supposed to put in 1 gram of xanthan gum and 40 grams of artificial sweetener. And instead, I put in 1 gram of xanthan gum and then another 40 grams of xanthan gum.
That was only 17?
Now, if you don't know what that is, because I didn't until about 10 days ago, it's basically like a binding agent. You mix them into foods like this to make them thicker, so when you pull it out of the freezer, it actually has the texture of ice cream rather than just being liquid but colder. And clearly, a little bit goes a long way if you only need to use 1 gram. I used 40 times as much as I was supposed to. And also didn't put any monk fruit powder in. The whole time I'm eating it, I'm like, man, this shit is thick as fuck and isn't sweet at all. Yeah, I think I figured it out. I think I cracked the case. It is so embarrassing for me to watch back this footage and see how confidently wrong I am throughout the entire process. How at first I was like, oh yeah, now this looks like ice cream.
Okay. That is definitely a different texture than it was a second ago. Cool.
I think this works.
It's not supposed to look like that yet, you moron. Also, how optimistic I, for some reason, was even after tasting it and being disgusted.
I guess I did too much milk.
Nope. How confused I was when it took forever to clean afterwards.
Spent like 5 minutes scrubbing this. Maybe it's just the cream cheese.
Nope. This texture looks way better. I'm using an entire monk fruit for this.
You know how when you leave ice cream out for a little bit, it melts? I left this sitting on the counter for 6 hours, and when I came back, it looked exactly the same. Whatever this is, it is not ice cream. I think I accidentally created a substance never before seen by humans. This feels like the beginning of a sci-fi horror movie. Like if I don't dispose of this properly, it's going to come to life and kill me in my sleep.
I know I'm like 2 years late to this trend, but I knew I had to hop on the cucumber bandwagon. You've probably seen this guy at some point.
Sometimes you need to eat an entire cucumber.
Who is almost surely an industry plant on behalf of Big Cucumber. I took on one of his recipes and also another one I found, which essentially has just turned into a bowl of beef. These always look so good. I totally understand the appeal of these. Cucumber is such a blank slate of a food that you can apply any flavor profile to it whatsoever. And that's what these each are. This one's more like a pickled onion beef thing. I make my own pickled onions because I like putting them on sandwiches and in tacos and stuff. And so I just kind of threw those in here. As you could see by this B-roll footage, deceptively hard to shake these things up. I spent a couple minutes trying to shake these things, and even still, all of the cucumbers were on the bottom. That's why I had to take this out of the container and put it in a bowl. And then this one, I don't know what I was expecting, putting a glob of thick ass cream cheese in here, that it would just like break apart and evenly disperse throughout the container. No, it's all in one glob still. Huh. There sure are a lot of cucumbers in here. I saw a comment on this video that was like, it's pretty good, but if you don't rock with cucumbers, it's probably not for you. And someone was just like, why the fuck would you make this recipe if you don't like cucumbers? And now in hindsight, I am kind of like the first commenter. For something that required no cooking, and it's just throwing a few things in a cup and shaking it up for a couple minutes, it's not that bad. And now for this one, you know what this tastes like? It tastes like if you filled a bowl with beef and cucumbers. These are both fine. It's a salad adjacent meal, so your expectations have to be a little tempered. But I have to say, I think I disagree with this guy's catchphrase.
Sometimes you need to eat 2 entire cucumbers.
I don't know if that's true. The cucumber is my least favorite part. I should have just made a bowl of beef. Whatever, just proves what I've always believed, which is that you should never trust a man who bleaches his hair.
Did you know if you have blueberries,
a tub of vanilla Greek yogurt,
chia seeds,
mix in banana pudding mix,
maple syrup or honey,
and stick in a bunch of Nilla wafers,
your favorite type of milk,
before fridging overnight,
you get this high fiber,
delicious
chia seed pudding,
banana pudding.
Honestly, I think this is too sweet. I think it just didn't need the honey. It's already pretty sweet from the yogurt and the blueberries. Man, if I think that's too sweet, I wonder how I feel about this. I don't think I needed to use as much banana pudding mix as I did. The one in the video was like a slightly off-white. This is extremely yellow. Almost looks like scrambled eggs. That's pretty good though. I love banana pudding. Honestly, the best banana pudding I've ever had in my life, Buc-ee's. I don't know what they put in there, but that shit was good. I do think it's funny to act like 88 grams of protein is like a lot for this when they're talking about the entire tub. Depending on how many vanilla wafers you put in here, it could be like
1,500 calories.
And it's unfortunate that the only way to get that number lower would be to put less vanilla wafers in here when that's by far the best part. Otherwise, you're kind of just eating goop. I just woke up about 20 minutes ago and I think it's a little too early in the day to stomach this much cold mush. This is one of those that looks really good on camera, right? Because the texture changes and you can run the spoon through it and it looks so fluffy. And it is pretty fluffy, but then you eat it and it's just mushy. B for this, C+ for this. Time to start my day. What the hell? I just want to eat something normal. I'm just kidding, man. This is my favorite one so far. The theme of today's recipes? I'm so glad you asked. Balls. And I'm not talking penis. First up, a 2-ingredient air-fried cheese ball, which is what my friends call me behind my back. And then this chickpea onion thing. Just by looking at this, I already know that that red onion taste is gonna be lingering in my mouth for 3 hours after I eat it, but how can you not love this guy's voice?
Along with a teaspoon of paprika powder.
I wish my voice sounded like that. Then maybe my friends would stop calling me a cheese ball. Hell yeah. I love that. I love when things do that. Yep, I'll definitely be using the rest of this for something. I could have used a bigger bowl. Smells good, looks good, but does it taste good? I don't know, I haven't eaten it yet. Into the oven. Now you would think with a 2-ingredient recipe, I couldn't possibly mess it up, right? How far could I stray from something so simple? Well, one, I was not about to spend 45 minutes grating an entire block of Parmesan, so I bought a prepackaged kind. And also, it's not even just Parmesan, it includes 2 other cheeses. So if it turns out bad, we know who to blame. Joe Biden, actually. Yet again, time for my favorite part of these videos, where I just stick my hand inside something. You know, between me and Stranger Things, there's never been a more lucrative time for Foley artists who specialize in squelching noises. My hands are going to smell like cheese for weeks. If I went for a walk right now, I would attract woodland creatures from near and far. It's not really sticking very well. If I had to guess, it could have something to do with the fact that I didn't grate this cheese myself. Delicious. Freeze for 2 hours. They don't look quite as crispy as him. It might be because I didn't dry them out enough. You're supposed to drain and rinse them, but if you don't dry them enough, then they're gonna like retain moisture and then they're not gonna be as crispy, and maybe that's what I did wrong. They taste great. I feel like chickpeas are so underrated. Man, yeah, these are delicious. Every type of meat right now is 3 times as much as it was a few years ago. But a can of chickpeas, which has a decent amount of protein and in the right context can act as a protein in a meal, like $1. If you put this in a bowl, some kind of fancy grain, some tzatziki, some sweet potatoes maybe. I just don't have any other slop to put in it. Cheese ball. It's maybe the worst lighting I've ever achieved in a video. It tastes exactly the way you'd expect it to. I should have just grated Parmesan. It's too sharp. I don't know if I can eat any more of these. I mean, obviously they look awesome, but when would I eat this? Just gonna make cheese balls for dinner? Yeah, I gotta go eat a vegetable. Hey, let's make some more ice cream. I have to say I'm a little concerned so far. As much as I genuinely loved that first creamy, the second one was more of a failed science experiment, and the third one, I like mint chocolate chip ice cream. That was always one of my favorites growing up, but with peppermint extract, there is such a fine line where once you cross that line, it no longer tastes like a delicious sweet treat, and it kind of just tastes like you're eating toothpaste. Unfortunately, that's where my Minter Wonderland ended up, and it was a bit of a chore to finish. Since I've already messed this up a couple of times, I'm gonna go with a recipe that seems absolutely foolproof. Oreo McFlurry. It's just milk and sweetener and Oreo thins. How could I possibly mess that up?
Did you hear what I said about not messing this up? Just want to make sure you heard that.
Milk time! This is the amount that I was supposed to put in last time. Jesus Christ. And not that this had as big of an effect on the final outcome, but I also forgot to put a pinch of salt in the last time. Crisis averted. You know what else I like about his recipes? He says to use Oreo thins with the cream removed because it's fewer calories. I love that the calories of the cream doesn't count because I'm not putting it into the ice cream. It's so much healthier this way. I think I've created the appropriate texture this time. It doesn't already look like ice cream, it's just a little bit foamy.
Shit's good as hell.
Ooh. That's a relief, future me. Or if it's bad, I'll be like, shit. Now this next one, I'm a little concerned about. It's a Dr. Pepper float. Now that sounds delicious to me. That's not the part I'm scared about. I'm worried because I don't think he wrote this in the way that he meant to. Because typically with a float, you would take the ice cream and then you kind of just pour the soda on top of it. He's saying to put the Dr. Pepper in and then blend it. I just cannot imagine a world where a freshly carbonated beverage inside this blender machine could end in anything other than disaster. And that's exactly why I need to do this on camera. If his typo causes me to explode, well, at least I filmed it. Getting a little high there. Honestly, that's kind of already good as is. All right, well, here goes nothing.
12 seconds later.
Who could have seen that coming? Kind of the worst possible outcome, because on one hand, it's annoying that I'm gonna have to now clean this up. And on the other hand, it wasn't even that interesting to look at. I kind of just made a mess for no reason. Yeah, the bad news is I have to waste a bunch of paper towels, but the good news is I discovered something delicious. I'm gonna drink these every day forever. Kind of an annoying chore I just chose to give myself, but maybe it'll be worth it. That's up to you, future Drew. What do you say?
It's fine.
All right, thanks, buddy. Well, I think we've had a lot of fun here today. Whether we've been making shit or even crap, I've learned a lot. I spent a lot of time scrolling through my bookmarks to find the perfect recipe to end this video on. And I realized that the best recipe is the one that feels authentic to me. And then I found this. Not only do I have an entire website devoted to hot dogs, but I think I've made it pretty clear that the only thing I feel comfortable cooking is meat bread. This is perfect. Is this meal healthy? No. Will it help me reach my fitness goals? No. But does it look like something I'll accidentally eat all of in one sitting just to spend the next 2 hours complaining about my tummy ache? Yeah, it does. And of course, just like every recipe I've made so far, I'm swapping out one of the ingredients for a different one. I went to 2 different stores looking for this prepackaged French bread, and I was not about to go to a third. The only problem with using these crescent rolls instead is that they come pre-perforated, but I feel like as long as I don't rip it, it'll still all be one sheet. I don't know, man, I'm making hot dog bread. It doesn't have to be perfect.
I just forget how to open these.
Oh, that's right. That's how you do it. This looks French enough to me. I don't see any reason why this can't work just as well as the other bread, except for all of the lines and holes in it. Don't make fun of me, okay? You know you'd be just as scared. Okay. Maybe besides the perforation, the big difference between the 2 types of bread is that this one is not nearly as thick. But you know, what's the fun in doing something correctly? Where most people would look at this recipe and think that the bread should mostly encapsulate the hot dog, I say, what if instead the hot dog just sort of rested gently on top of it?
Gotta have the sesame seeds. Gotta have salt. Definitely not enough salt in the hot dogs already. The question now is, hot dogs long ways or hot dogs short ways?
Each with their own merits, for sure. We're doing it, guys. We're creating bread. This is what they ate in the Bible. Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing. Into the oven. I'm not even saying this is a joke. This is the best smelling food that I've made so far in this video. I feel like I just walked into an Italian bakery. Tell me that doesn't look good. Tell me you wouldn't eat that. And come on, like how unhealthy could it really be?
200 calories plus the oil. I don't know how many for the hot dogs.
And I don't have ketchup and I don't have regular mustard, but you know what? I do have a bunch of random ass condiments. Surely one of these will be good. And now I've got a whole flight of hot dogs. Between cooking, cleaning, and shopping for gifts, the holidays are stressful enough. So why don't you take one of those things off your to-do list?
Make hot dog focaccia. Trust me, your kids are gonna thank you. They're gonna be like, whoa, this is way better than the crap that Dad usually makes us eat. Yeah, usually his cooking's so bad, I don't even have any respect for him. I hate that guy. That guy's the worst. Be like, okay, kids, a funny joke. And they're like, no, Dad, we're dead serious. Some of the stuff you usually feed us, we have to pretend to eat it. Because if we actually eat that, we'd be in the hospital. But don't worry, Dad. Now that you've made us hot dog focaccia, we'll finally love you. And that's what Christmas is all about. Thanks for watching.
You know, it's been a really good year for movies so far, but I have to admit that sometimes they can be a little too much for me. As a lot of movies have gotten more ambitious in scope, more groundbreaking with their visuals, I often find myself getting overstimulated. I had to leave the newest Mission Impossible like 45 minutes in because the AI villain in that movie made me so dizzy I thought I was going to throw up. That's real, by the way. I'm kind of doing a bit right now, but that actually did happen to me. And don't get me wrong, I loved Sinners. Such a fun theater experience, but the whole time I was watching it, I couldn't help but think how much better it would have been if instead of doing the whole vampire thing, they had just screen recorded a bunch of Zoom calls. And then I found out about the new War of the Worlds movie, and all of my prayers were answered. War of the Worlds is Amazon's take on Steven Spielberg's take on the H.G. Wells novel from 1,000 years ago. And I say Amazon and not Prime Video because where a lot of Prime content is made with a noticeable production value, this movie feels like it was made in an Amazon warehouse.
No, Mark, no!
It's also kind of an ad for Amazon, but I'll get to that later. The main character of War of the Worlds is Will Radford, who works for the Department of Homeland Security as a surveillance and threat assessment expert, which certainly makes it sound like we could be in for an exciting movie here. In reality, all Will actually does is sit at his computer all day watching drone footage of Washington, D.C. I think the conceit of the movie was, okay, what if Jason Bourne worked from home? Sorry? And he was played by Ice Cube?
Oh no, that's not gonna work.
From the opening montage, it's not entirely clear what Will's role here even is. It kind of seems like the computer is already marking everything for him, and all he needs to do is see if the text is green or red. If it's green, he can move on to the next batch of footage, but if it's red, he can also just move on to the next batch of footage. Nothing he's doing matters at all. This car is driving suspiciously close to the Pentagon. Let's go ahead and give that a threat level of medium, provide no further information, and then get back to looking at buildings. You realize pretty quickly that Will seems to be a lot less interested in securing the homeland than he is using his access to government equipment to spy on his adult children. He spends the majority of his time just looking at them, watching them. He has cameras at their jobs, at their homes, inside their fridge. Okay, so we got 4 avocados, 1 mayonnaise, 4 avocados, and 8 unknowns. I'm sorry, it can tell just from the outside of this container that there's cake in there, but it doesn't recognize a cup of pudding.
You haven't had any protein this week.
How do you know?
Let's just say me and your fridge is pretty tight.
I love his character, one, because of Ice Cube's transformative performance.
Really? A muffin. What are you thinking?
Jesus, Dad, how many times have we been
One
through
hard
this?
boiled egg.
But also, I like that he doesn't seem to know why his family doesn't fuck with him.
Hey, Pops. I'm not your daddy, man.
Sorry.
He finds out his daughter didn't invite him to her baby shower.
What shower?
Oh, shit.
So he hacks into her MacBook and is like, I don't get it. Why doesn't she trust me?
Damn.
Why would she say something like that? And you can see their last text exchange was her asking him for a ride to the hospital and him being like, not sure about that. I'm gonna be absolutely swamped that day watching a live feed of you going to the hospital. One of the other main characters in this movie is his friend, who works at NASA. And if it wasn't made obvious by the logo behind her and her multiple mentions of the NASA satellites that she has access to, her name in the movie is Sandra NASA. Just want to make sure nobody's confused about where she works. And look, I'm guilty of sometimes saving someone in my phone as first name, their name, last name, the thing I know them for. But even in the government database that he uses throughout the movie, he types in her name as Sandra NASA. So I think that is her legal name. Anyway, this is a great scene because in the span of about 15 seconds, you can see Ice Cube go from crazy weather, not my problem, whoa, that weather's crazy,
but it's not my problem.
Take a look at this.
I watch people, not weather. All right, that's crazy right there. Well, I got bigger fish to fry than watching clouds.
Now, I know what you're thinking, this movie is great so far, but how come nobody's gone on Facebook yet? Don't worry, he does, for several consecutive minutes.
Remember to take out the trash today and be nice to the kids.
That's how she died. He forgot to take out the trash and she got hit by a garbage truck. Here's another example of very efficient writing in this scene. From this, we don't just learn that wife is dead. We learn that in this universe, the deliverability of a Facebook message is what indicates whether or not someone is alive. This is a crucial detail to remember, as later on when shit hits the fan and the aliens start attacking, spoiler alert, sorry, there's a very tense moment where Will's message to his daughter Faith does not go through. The implication being that she died so hard her Facebook doesn't even work anymore. Look, I know Facebook certainly has some weird policies, but I don't think they deactivate your account the moment you die. Now, thankfully she survived, and her dad is able to confirm this because he, again, has access to 24/7 live feeds of every building she might be inside of. Aw, he really does care. That'll teach her not to be so cagey about her privacy. Also, I see these are all Ring cameras they've placed around their house, but what is this one for? The one that's eye level with the couch? Is that to make sure nobody breaks in and starts watching TV? Now, I think this is a good time to remind you that Ice Cube spends 99% of this movie sitting in one spot. This is a sci-fi action adventure about aliens attempting to destroy Earth, and it is filmed entirely from the point of view of a guy looking at his computer. You could make the argument that there's no point in even trying to make this movie if you're not going to actually film any of the things that are supposed to be happening in it. And I'd almost be inclined to agree, but have you stopped to think about how much more work that would have been? Ugh. Watching someone's facial expression change slightly while looking at a bunch of desktop notifications accomplishes the same exact thing. It's terrible. Like even when meteors are hitting the Earth, aliens are coming out and shooting people, we're still not really watching any of those things. We're just watching Ice Cube react to those things.
Oh my God.
This is probably the best scene in the whole movie.
You see this? Dave, listen to me. Get out of there, now.
That's good advice.
What? I can't hear you. Gotta go left, now.
Where is he routing him?
Make a right, now.
He's so confident about where to go, about where the aliens aren't going to be. Oh no. My son died from explosion. When is this week gonna end?
Thank God.
Don't worry, Dave is okay. But now Faith is in trouble.
I've never showed his dad.
What are you doing outside?
At least put a jacket on. It's cold out there.
Get away from that. Okay? Stay clear of that stuff. Get out of there. Go.
Yeah, she's working on it. He has access to her heart rate? Why didn't he just check that earlier?
How you? How's the baby? They come. Your heart rate is way too high.
105? That's not that high, especially considering the situation they're in. She just sprinted away from an alien laser beam. If anything, it's kind of low. She's freaking calm right now. Oh, cool. We're moving from the computer to the phone.
All operators are busy now.
The world is at war.
I'm coming.
Gross.
Here I come.
Hey, at least he's finally about to go to a more interesting filming location.
Damn it. Lockdown.
Never mind. The door's locked. My daughter's in danger. I have to go help her. You know, on second thought, I do kind of like this chair.
Okay, I'm coming. I'm coming right now.
Gross.
As quick as you can. I'll open it for you. Hurry up, baby.
Faith, you're gonna have to get your ass in gear, man. This is some pathetic effort I'm seeing out of you. Hurry, you're almost there. Keep moving. Just a little bit faster. Good news, she was able to make it into a car that's leading her to safety. Bad news, it's a Tesla.
You think you have more power than you really do. You think you have the power to have saved Mom?
Classic infuriating movie trope here, where one character has vital information that would help everybody, but the person they're trying to communicate it to won't listen.
And I need to talk to you about something
I don't
I
have
stumbled
time
on.
for that right now.
Dad,
okay?
this is important. I have information I think you might want to know.
Not nowadays.
The government...
No. I don't want to hear nothing you have to say.
Dad, listen!
I gotta go.
There are so many jump cuts in this movie, it's actually insane. Like, I think they just filmed every line individually and forgot they needed to account for conversational timing. So then they had to fix it by putting all these cuts in that you can't do in a movie. YouTube video? Sure, do all the jump cuts you want. But you gotta raise your standards a little bit if you're Universal Pictures. Now, to be clear, I don't blame any of the individual editors for this. In fact, I don't know if I could imagine a more difficult editing task than to have to make something comprehensible with the source material that they were given. Essentially, Amazon gave these two people a photo of a green screen and a handful of Ice Cube reaction shots and said, make a movie. And technically, they did, because we're watching it. Sometimes I wonder, though, if they even knew what was going to be on the computer when they filmed, or if the plan was just get a shot of Ice Cube looking concerned and then we'll figure out the rest later. Because not only do they reuse shots like crazy, but there's times where something so inconsequential happens that it feels like it was just shoved in after the fact. All right, time to fly this drone. Oh, wait, I can't. I could earlier, but now I can't. I need a level 5 password. So I'm gonna DM someone else in the government and ask for a level 5 password. And now I can see the drone. What a fun obstacle to just throw in for no reason at all. Did it make the movie better, or did it just make it longer?
Our forces are positioned and ready to engage right now.
What do you think, Mr. President?
I see no other option to initiate this war of the worlds.
He said it. He said it.
There are too many of them. What are we going to do?
We're going to initiate a Star War.
China and the U.S. have joined forces in what is an unprecedented collaboration.
On the Song of the Summer.
The world's governments have finally put aside their differences in an effort to protect the home planet.
Who is saying this? Who is talking right now? Such a heartwarming sequence here, a real glimpse into what life might be like if we all just got along. And the best part is, we get to watch Ice Cube watch it happen.
Got him. Took your ass out, huh? Take your intergalactic asses back home.
Meanwhile, Faith isn't doing so hot.
But she's
pregnant.
I thought that I could stop the bleeding if I took it out.
I thought I could stop the bleeding by pulling out the one object that was stopping me from bleeding. Why didn't that work?
Gotta put some pressure on that wound, man. No, Mark, no!
But I work for Amazon. Packing supplies are all I know. Oh no, please don't die. Hold on, Faith. I love... Oh, wait, my girlfriend's calling?
Keep me posted.
Hey, you talking to the cube, baby girl? What do you want? Big discovery here about the aliens and their intentions.
Why are they going after the chip?
These little guys are drawn to data.
These things eat data.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. This whole attack is just a big diversion to get those tripods to the data center. And those tripods are just Trojan horses to get those little bugs into the server.
I feel like I have to point out that that's not how Trojan horses work. A Trojan horse is when you sneak something nefarious inside of something that appears harmless, so the people you're trying to attack let their guard down. I don't think that quite counts when you're talking about a 50-foot walking laser beam.
Guys, a giant robot's destroying the city. How fun is that? I just hope there aren't a bunch of smaller robots inside of it who try to steal my Facebook memories.
Oh no, my Facebook memories!
I never should have trusted you.
No.
Remember to take out the trash today and be nice to the kids.
It's so sad. It's like she's dying all over again. And how is he gonna remember to take out the trash now? Kinda seems like he already forgot the part about being nice to the kids.
Jesus, Dave.
Dad! I love how often in this movie, Ice Cube exasperatedly takes off his glasses, only to just have them back on immediately in the next scene. Also, in case you didn't pick up on the insane plot twist here, turns out the aliens aren't here to take over the world, they're here to eat our data.
We are in utter chaos without our most precious resource, our data.
And because of the internet, we have a whole bunch of it.
Collecting data. Oh, man.
The clues were there all along. Look how hungry that robot is.
Shit. Briggs is behind the whole thing.
Traitor. Yeah, I think you're gonna want to take those glasses off, man. And go ahead and put them back on.
NASA warned you if you activated Goliath, it could spark an invasion.
Those dinosaur bureaucrats don't keep us safe. I do.
So basically, this evil government surveillance program knew that the aliens were gonna come eat all this data, but they still wanted to collect it anyway. And it's like, okay, I guess there's almost an interesting idea here. There are a ton of billionaires and people in power who are mostly aware that their choices are actively harming the earth and the future of humanity, but they continue to do it anyway because the things they're doing benefit them personally. But I do think there's maybe a tad bit of irony in Amazon being the platform through which this message is conveyed. A platform that is currently using my own data to advertise groceries to me every time I pause this movie.
Our most precious resource on Earth is data.
Also, if you've ever been on the Fast and Furious ride at Universal Studios, all of these webcam conversations have the same exact cadence as the conversations that take place on that ride.
Shaw, that cockroach we beat down in Spain? What's he got to do with this? Nothing.
VP, justices, chiefs of staff, all secure.
Okay.
You insane. I didn't sign up for this shit.
Thank you for your service, Radford. You're dismissed.
Stop this thing. Wait! No.
Oh no, he's being dismissed. I'm not sure I understand though. I might need to see 5 different examples of him being locked out of his computer. What? Oh! He got fired. The other twist is that his son Dave is the disruptor, and Will hates the disruptor because of how disruptive he is.
It's you! It's you!
Yeah.
In fact, he's #1 on the domestic terror suspect watch list. But now that he's stuck on the outside too, they'll have to work together to save the day. He's gonna have to go from hacking for the government to hacking to the government.
Touchdown!
And let's pop those glasses off for a sec. Thank you, Q. Then Mark and Faith send an update photo letting Will know that everything's okay. But it's such a bad picture that Will doesn't even seem that happy about it.
Good.
Dad, meet my disruptors.
What the hell? This was supposed to be our safe space.
Guys, enough.
It's truly fascinating to watch a movie try to raise its stakes without any ability to do so, because everything has to take place at his desk. It's not like we can just go out to some big set piece and watch a cool fight. The best Ice Cube can do is send some emails, upload a YouTube video, use Photoshop to put his face into the YouTube video.
Damn, Mr. Radford, that was badass.
It's riveting stuff, honestly. This is what movies are all about.
Thelma Louise, break encryption. Code Crusher, bypass firewalls. And Burnout, just stay out of trouble.
Yeah, if there's one thing we know about Burnout, I'd say he's kind of a loose cannon.
What the hell?
A few minutes later, that whole crew of people we were just introduced to dies.
I'm being hacked. They're hacking us.
They're eating our data.
Now the aliens have turned their attention to Dave.
No!
Oh no, he's gone for real this time. Ice, aren't you forgetting something? Thank you. Now put him back on. You know you can't see without him. And then he sits down and then stands up and then he goes to pick up his chair that he threw earlier. So like, wait, where the fuck was he just sitting a second ago? And I guess firefighters are there already? How did they get there so fast? It's been 12 seconds and the world is at war. Gonna need to take my glasses off for this one. Oh, never mind, guys. His son is alive. He was just using a green screen.
You had me worried to death, man.
You should have seen it. I threw my chair on the ground. Oh, son, I'm just so glad you're alive. For the second time today, I thought I lost you. It was devastating. Oh, wait, my girlfriend's calling me again? Girl, you gotta stop blowing up the cube, okay? I got shit to do today.
We must destroy DHS to make sure anything that gets through can't get to the Goliath.
No!
Guys, that's the building I'm in.
Hell no.
Dad, you're gonna have to get the code into the servers manually.
They will kill you, Will. It's a damn suicide mission.
I said I'll be fine.
I just needed to put my glasses back on. Okay, so the plan is Will is going to leave the room. I just hope his legs haven't atrophied in all the time he's been sitting there. He's got to go take this virus and put it in that delicious data that the aliens will eat and then melt or whatever. I don't actually really know. There's just one problem with this plan, though. The only way to transport this virus is with a thumb drive, and Mr. Cube doesn't have one.
Put it on a thumb drive.
I don't have a thumb drive.
What do you mean you don't have a thumb drive?
What? Dude, everybody has a thumb drive. Shit, I bet even Mark has one.
Even I have a thumb drive.
I knew it.
Faith can load it here and I can get it to you.
How?
Primaire.
So this is where the movie goes from good to great. I mean, rarely do we get to see the streaming service a movie is on become so integral to the plot of the movie.
Oh, it's the future of delivery.
In hindsight, it actually feels kind of insane that I even needed to have a Prime subscription in order to watch this movie that is about to climax with Amazon saving the world.
I need you to place an official order on Amazon to activate the drone.
I like when this guy's flying the Amazon drone, but then the aliens sent out their drones to try to blow it up. So then the other guy starts piloting a third drone that he uses to blow up these drones before they can blow up the Amazon drone.
Touchdown!
Good job, team. Oh no, the drone fell down. There's no way to get it back up from here. Okay, so what do you think that they're going to do to get out of this situation? I'll give you a couple seconds to think about it. Got your answer? Great. So if you said that they would use facial recognition software to identify this homeless person on the street so that they could text him on the phone and ask him to flip over the drone, you're correct. But also a little psychotic for even thinking of that. Jesus Christ, man. But of course, he doesn't just trust this unknown number at face value. He has to be bribed a little bit first. So they give him $1,000 Amazon gift card. And without hesitation, he sprints into the face of danger to flip that thing over. Oh my God, what a choice. I'm pretty sure that guy exploded, by the way, but that doesn't matter to us because the camera never turns around to look. In his first taste of real action in the entire movie, Will gets grabbed by an alien tentacle that penetrated the building, and then he says this.
These things are everywhere!
Nope, there was just one, and all he had to do to kill it was tell it to move.
Move, bitch! Get out the way!
Just like the song.
Where's that drum? Coming!
And now for the scene that this entire movie has led up to.
No! I love you guys!
In hindsight, it actually makes sense why he spent his entire life in that room, because about 5 minutes after he left it for the first time, he died. So maybe he was onto something. Anyway, now it's everybody else's turn to be alone in a room, pretending to react to someone's death. Huh, not so easy, is it? Maybe we shouldn't have been so hard on him, especially now that he's gone. I miss him so much. His quips, his glasses. Oh, never mind, he's okay. Aw, happy ending. I guess nobody died in the movie. Except for the millions of people who definitely died in the movie, but we don't have to think about that.
I just got off with the president. He wants you to pioneer a new data collecting protocol that doesn't invade people's personal privacy.
Sorry, sir, but not for me.
If I can't invade people's personal privacy, then I'm just not interested.
This war of the worlds.
And that's the movie. It's a total abomination. It's a hoot and a half. It's already being called the worst movie of the decade, but it begs the question, how the fuck did this happen? Look, I refuse to believe that a single person involved in making this was not aware of how terrible it is. I mean, my first thought when I initially saw people posting clips and making fun of it was, oh, Amazon made a terrible movie on purpose to get free publicity, and it's working. If this movie was only kind of bad, no one would be talking about it. And even if it was somehow really good, they still wouldn't be talking about it. I think they put out this steaming pile of product placement-ridden garbage to trick me and 10,000 other YouTubers into making full videos about it. The streaming services have caught on to the effectiveness of rage bait, and just like those data-hungry robots, none of us could resist taking a bite. Weirdly though, the more I read about the production process, the more I actually kind of think this was not intentional and it just happened to suck. The biggest factor being that this movie was filmed 5 years ago during COVID lockdown. It wasn't a conscious artistic choice to shoot it the way they did, although they have now retroactively tried to say that it was. They did it because they could either put each actor in a separate room and try to piece it all together in post, or they just couldn't make a movie at all. And that makes sense. Everything was pretty janky in 2020. We were all just trying to adjust to that new reality. But then they sat on this movie for 5 years. We are well past the era of late night shows being filmed on a webcam and sports being played in front of empty stadiums. Movies have been normal again for a while now. Nothing else looks like this. It's so out of place in the year 2025 that you can't help but stare at it. So I don't think they necessarily set out to make a terrible movie. I think they just ended up with one and didn't know what to do with it. But by waiting until audiences' expectations had long since returned to their pre-COVID standards and would be infinitely more critical of something that was shot exclusively on Microsoft Teams, it created the perfect storm of negative attention. It is the best advertisement for Prime Air that Amazon could have possibly hoped for. We're all voluntarily talking about it for free. So you know what? We gotta stop, guys, okay? No more fueling the fire. No more tweets, no more reactions, no more YouTube videos. From this point forward, or at least, well, let's say starting tomorrow, whatever tomorrow is, no more uploading YouTube videos about this movie, okay? And we obviously can't assign that rule retroactively. Anything uploaded today or in the past, it's fine, you know, because we hadn't agreed on the rule yet.
All right, I know I'm pretty late with this video. People have been talking about this movie for like 3 weeks now, which in internet time is about 1.5 years. But I just felt like I needed to wait for something else to come out. An article that explains how this all happened. I don't know, maybe a single mention of the movie from any of its cast or crew, but there has been nothing. Every day I Google War of the Worlds 2025 in hopes I can find one little nugget, one extra piece of insight into this debacle of a film, and there's just radio silence to an almost alarming degree. Not one person from this movie has acknowledged its existence in any way whatsoever, positive or negative. It's like the opposite of a press tour, where instead of sending all the actors out to do interviews and podcasts, they made everyone sign NDAs. Even Ice Cube, who posts on Instagram 400 times a day, has not mentioned this movie at all. Andrea Savage has a long list of credits in her bio that doesn't include this movie, but does include the hashtag butthole. Great, now I have to click on that. There goes my afternoon. There's such a collective lack of acknowledgement here that I'm actually concerned that maybe none of the actors even know that they were in this movie. Like, they have no memory of it, and that's terrifying. Someone needs to tell them. It's someone besides me, of course, because I've already tried and it doesn't seem to be working. I guess whatever happened behind the scenes of this movie is just gonna remain a mystery, is what I thought. And then something incredible happened. Huge shout out to a YouTube channel called Tony's Film Club for interviewing the producer and main editor of this movie. This is exactly the kind of thing I was hoping would come out to provide some clarity, you know, and after watching this interview, I am somehow more confused about this movie than I was before.
But a lot of the critiques of the movie are dealing with personal, very subjective things that people dislike.
Yeah. It did confirm a couple of things we all just kind of assumed. One, that the actors did film almost all their parts individually.
Those were remote. Those were done with the director only.
Which explains the total lack of chemistry in every single scene. And number two, that editing this monstrosity was an absolute nightmare.
There's some scenes where you end up with about 10 video layers, 10 performance layers, and you have to keep track of all this, make it work, you know, make sure that everybody is able to track and follow what matters on the screen. It's a mountain to keep track of.
I genuinely feel bad for this guy for having had to put in hundreds, if not thousands of hours in order to make this movie come to life.
Was I scared of entering this project? Yes, I was terrified, frankly.
Another thing is that the producer seems to genuinely believe that people just aren't understanding their vision.
But Q being a dad, saving his kids and family, that was the movie's intent.
They seem to think that they've made this really heartfelt movie about a loving family and are annoyed that other people aren't seeing it that way.
Instead, the movie was received as an enormous disappointment, as if it was to be this gigantic $200 million tentpole. It was never intended for that.
Got it. Okay, so then it doesn't matter that it was bad because it wasn't supposed to not be?
From the critics' standpoint, they went into expecting something much grander in scope, probably by way of the title being misleading. You know, War of the Worlds implies something gigantic.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. Also, you knew that this was going to be the title the entire time you were making the movie. It's not like they dropped that on you last minute.
War of the Worlds.
But the real shock from this video is that apparently Amazon was not involved in the production of this movie at all.
Was this one giant advertisement for Amazon?
No, it wasn't. Amazon didn't see it until the movie was all the way done. The creation of Mark was simply because during COVID, who was bringing us all these products to keep us going? Amazon drivers. These individuals are heroes.
And that's why we portrayed him as a bumbling idiot. Because he's so stupid. I mean, important.
We wanted it to be recognizable that this is a part of society.
Okay, I guess that explains Mark's character, but then what about the drone?
The drone? We had to figure out, how do you get Ice Cube a USB stick with a virus ready to be uploaded when he's 2 miles away from where Mark is?
Right, of course, you know, and there's There's just no other way to do that. And the logo on the screen the entire time?
There's the drone that Dave is piloting, and then there's the drone that Mark is piloting. It was very confusing for a time, the edit, when you didn't have the Primaire overlay.
Okay, but what about the part where they spent like a full minute on Amazon's website?
That was the only way that the drone, which was pre-programmed to deliver to the correct address, could get to Cuba.
Right, of course, you know, and that's not the kind of thing that you could just take creative liberties on. If people saw you using an Amazon drone, but they didn't get to see the entire process of something being ordered online, they would be outraged.
Yes.
Okay, so that explains all that. What about the Amazon gift card?
The Amazon gift card, I would like to address that. LA has a huge homelessness problem, but we wanted to also take the everyman who is not appreciated and give that person the opportunity to help save the world, which he does.
Yeah, he does. Reluctantly, after being bribed.
He is incentivized with a financial offer. And how do you get someone like that immediate money, cash in hand? Amazon gift card.
It's the only way.
So does this mean that after Amazon licensed it, they did not add any changes? They did not say, put our logo in here, anything like that?
No. Nothing.
Well, there you have it. They made this entire movie about Amazon saving the world, and it wasn't even because Amazon told them to. They just did it out of the goodness of their own hearts. You know, I actually think that makes it worse.
Amazon saw the Amazon character and identified clearly this would work wonderfully for them on their platform worldwide. And here we are, cut to 3 weeks later, and it's a smash hit for Amazon.
For all the right reasons. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you didn't like this video, it's not because it wasn't entertaining, or that I was 2.5 weeks late to this whole trend, or that I'm ugly. It's that you didn't understand it. It wasn't supposed to be good, and it's your fault for expecting it to. All right, I'll see you guys next time.
It's a cult classic in the making. I can already see that.
Protein, one of the internet's most fervent obsessions.
This buffalo chicken quesadilla has 100 grams of protein.
This high-protein pizza will change your life.
High-protein cheesecake.
Protein strawberry mousse.
Protein cookie dough.
We're making protein peanut butter balls.
All you do is take a container of cottage cheese, add some cottage cheese,
1 cup of cottage cheese,
a pound of cottage cheese,
blended cottage cheese,
cottage cheese,
cottage cheese,
cottage cheese,
cottage cheese,
some cottage cheese, and a cup of cottage cheese. Then sweetener of choice, I use
cottage cheese,
cup of cottage cheese, and
cottage cheese.
You're gonna want to make these.
But all of this got me thinking, what actually is protein? And how do I get everyone to stop yelling at me about it? So I decided to consult my friend Justin. He's been a weightlifter and nutrition coach for several years now, and he's also the only person I've ever met with the exact same physique as me. All right, so what is protein, and how much do I actually need?
Protein's an essential.
I'm zoning out. I mean, can you blame me though? This guy is boring as fuck.
I need you to pay attention to me, all right? Now listen, we have macronutrients, right? Protein,
Why did I fly across the country for this? We could have just done this on Zoom. I gotta be smarter about how I spend my money, man. I haven't uploaded a video in like 3 months. The last one I posted got demonetized just because I accidentally made cocaine sound fun. I think I'm actually just gonna Google it. Protein is the part of food that helps you build and maintain muscle. It's how guys like Justin and I have gotten jacked out of our minds. No, I know this may come as a surprise to you, but I'm not actually jacked. I've just been lying about it for years. But if I'm allowed to be somewhat vulnerable here on my own YouTube channel, it has been a goal of mine recently to not constantly hate the body that I'm stuck in. I've been in what I would describe as suboptimal shape for pretty much my entire cognitive existence. Like ever since I was old enough to be self-conscious about my body, I was and have continued to be every day for 20 years. And I think like a lot of people, I've always had this thought of, well, you know, eventually I'll be better about that. You know, it's not gonna be this way forever. And then a lot of time passes and you realize it doesn't really matter what you intended on doing if you never ended up doing it. And to be fair, you know, a lot of us grew up during a time where the messaging around fitness was a little toxic and also just shrouded in misinformation. Remember Slim Fast? I used to drink those after I ate because I thought it would like undo the calories I consumed. That's not how that works. Remember when Subway sandwiches were treated as like the healthiest thing a person could eat just because one guy had big pants? That's not how that works. Also, whatever happened to him? I feel like he's never in commercials anymore. And I don't mean to imply that there's not still conflicting and confusing information out there. There's no shortage of people who will try to sell you on a miracle diet that somehow only they know about and science just hasn't caught on to yet. But I think there's also more useful information readily available now than at any other point in history. Just on YouTube alone, you've got Jeff Nipples, lean beef patty, that guy who looks like a thumb learned how to blink. And the main thing I've learned from watching all these people and talking to my friend Justin, who's so hot but so boring, is that, oh my God, you have to eat so much protein. You can't just go to the gym, throw back a bottle of muscle milk and call it a day. It kind of has to be the thing you plan your entire diet around. Like, I've been trying to eat about 150 grams per day, and it turns out it's actually incredibly easy to come nowhere close to hitting that number. Even if you're very deliberate about eating eggs and chicken and salmon for every meal, it can be hard to reach that quota without supplementing it in some way. So this is where protein products play a really important role in rounding out your diet. The only problem with those is that, I don't know, 90% of them suck. They always take like an hour to chew, and they never taste like the thing they try to say that they will. Come to think of it, are there any other products besides protein bars where they're allowed to just put a photo of a completely different food on the box?
That cheesecake looks really good. Is that what's in there? No, that's just what we wanted it to taste like. Oh. Well, does it? Not even a little bit.
And on top of that, they're all so expensive that you have to blow a bunch of money before you can even find out that it's terrible. So anyway, here's my goal for this video. Okay, I see ads for protein bars constantly. I am going to buy every single one of them. It doesn't matter how much it costs or if it even looks like something I would like. If I see an ad for it, I'm gonna buy it and eat it, and if you're lucky, I might even spit it out on camera. That way, if you're curious about one of these things, you can indulge in my suffering and maybe even save yourself some money in the process. Another reason I wanted to make this video is because I'm fascinated by how protein has become increasingly used at times solely as a marketing buzzword, in the same way that like vegan and gluten-free have for foods that already were those things before more people started seeking them out. But now they cost more money because of all the boxes they check.
Why would anyone choose to eat this boring old regular apple when our premium version has no added sugar and is vegetarian friendly? It even comes with this sticker that guarantees it's never been used as a torture device. Weird, I don't see that sticker anywhere on regular apple, and I have to say, your silence is deafening.
So there's a lot of products that tack on what I like to call the protein tax. Many companies have realized that by putting the word front and center on their packaging, they can get away with charging more for what is often exactly the same thing. This protein pasta is more than 1.5 times the cost of the regular version from that same brand. That's a pretty significant price difference, but I do like protein, and this one has 10 grams per serving. Before I buy it though, I'm curious, how much does the regular pasta have? Surely it's nowhere close to 10, right? Because it's so much more expensive. 7. 3 grams? That's what we're making a big stink about? I saw this ad pop up and I was intrigued because I like the idea of protein snacks that aren't just trying to be a dessert replacement. And then you go to their website and they're like, high protein super snack. Whoa, this is incredible. 11 grams per serving, only 100 calories. These guys are wizards. How do they do it? But I was curious if they supplement it in any way or if that's just how edamame beans are naturally. So I found a random brand on Amazon and saw that it has 14 grams of protein per 130 calories. So for all intents and purposes, it is exactly the same. There is no difference between these two products, except this one costs 37 cents per ounce, and this one costs $1.76. Almost 5 times more expensive for exactly the same thing. They just market it differently. This is a vegan, low-carb, high-protein superfood. And this is just a bag of nuts. I know I'm probably not telling you anything that you don't already know, that marketing can be deceptive and is easily swayed by whatever's popular at any given time. But it's still something that I have to remind myself of because I can be very stupid. I can know that I'm probably being tricked and still fall for it anyway. Like with this one, I saw 36 grams of protein and I was like, damn, that's crazy. Turns out it is crazy. It's crazy to advertise the total amount of protein in something that has 9 servings. This flavor only has 3 grams per serving. That's not a protein snack. A donut has 3 grams of protein. I mean, I gotta buy this though. The flavor is unapologetic. Good, I'm so tired of biting into foods that are like, I'm sorry I taste like this. I didn't want to. I guess I also have to try out Khloe Kardashian's new protein popcorn.
Cloud popcorn, my protein popcorn.
What was the idea of putting a protein on a popcorn?
Money. I feel like this website is so emblematic of what I'm talking about here. This scroll of brags that just goes on forever. Gluten-free? Wow. Just like every other popcorn ever made. Real ingredients. I love that as a tag because it's so vague. I mean, technically every ingredient is real in that it exists. I'm sure they mean something along the lines of like all natural, but saying something is made with real ingredients doesn't mean it's made without whatever the opposite is. It just means that some of it is real. You could put this sentence on just about any food. I mean, this one has sodium phosphate in it, which in pill form is prescribed as a laxative for people who are about to get a colonoscopy. Does that count as a real ingredient? I mean, why list it here but not here? And I'm not even saying I care about this. I've never looked out for sodium phosphate. It's a very common preservative in a lot of foods. I'm only pointing it out because it's like, yeah, maybe these buzzwords don't actually mean anything. The guy in this video has talked a bunch in the past about how much you should avoid this substance.
Here's public enemy number one when it comes to deli meat: sodium phosphate.
But then suddenly he turns the other way when he gets a chance to work with Big Kardashian. I guess my point is I don't know what to care about when I'm looking at a list of ingredients, and it's exhausting to try and figure it out. And sometimes this bombardment of arbitrary certifications listed on every food item that's supposed to help you quickly identify things at a glance just makes me feel more skeptical. I feel like the more stuff you're bragging about, the more you must be trying to distract me from something. I think the effect it's had on me is that ultimately I've adopted this like blissful ignorance when it comes to chemicals and preservatives and standing too close to the microwave because I like to watch my food spin around. I think step one is to just find things you like eating that are mostly healthy, that fit into your diet, and then later down the line, you can start to get a little bit pickier about ingredients once you've established a good foundation.
Loser Bites new protein brownies come in 2 flavors and 2 sizes: chocolate and cookies and cream.
Okay, I get what they mean by the loser thing, that they're talking about losing weight, but I still feel like we're getting off on the wrong foot here. Hey, dumbass. You wanna buy a little cupcake thing? Yeah, I bet you do, you stupid bitch. Also, this image is 100% AI generated. You can tell because it doesn't have the right number of fingers. I'm gonna try out these protein donuts because they look really good. Unfortunately, they don't come like that. You have to make them yourself, which is fine, obviously, because you guys know I'm a very good chef. Plus, according to them, it's the best tasting protein on earth. And what reason would they have to lie? Oh, it looks like they've got a video of their happy customers. Maybe they're still working on that. Sorry, I have to rant about how every website is exactly the same now. You walk in the door, they're already yelling at you about cookies. Do you want all of them or just most of them? For like 6 months or 12 months? Okay, hold on. You can't just say no cookies. You have to do some of them. Come on, man. Don't you want to join the Bean Squad? We'll give you 1% off if you let us text you for the rest of your life. This item is hot. We just sold 15. 38 people are looking at it right now, and one of them just added it to their cart. Ooh, you should probably do that too before this button slides right off the screen. There's so many symbols and check marks on all of these websites that are supposed to make everything seem more legit, but I don't even know what some of this means. As you can see here, there are exactly 38 reviews. Trust us. We count. And we're honored to say we have 100 points of diamond authenticity. I like how the opacity on these ratings gets lower the further you go down. I think some people gave it 1 star, but it's hard to know for sure. I've seen this one a lot. It's called Meal Boosters. I guess you can like sprinkle it on stuff for some extra protein. Pretty convenient, I suppose. Unbelievably expensive though. I mean, this is just dust. I still have to pay for the food I'm gonna sprinkle it on top of. $4 per bag of unflavored protein powder? I feel like you can buy that in bulk for pretty cheap. I mean, if you're not even gonna flavor it, what am I paying you for? Also, savory? It's unflavored. It's quite literally impossible for something that has no flavor to be savory. Because what are you savoring? The type 1 and 3 collagen peptide? Shit, my mouth is watering just thinking about that. Nah, I'm just gonna get cheesy cheese. Oh, but not before agreeing to their terms and conditions. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. And then for shipping options, I can do USPS, UPS, or Meal Boosters Special with no information on what that means. Why is it more expensive? Are they gonna come straight to my house and feed it to me? Hey, me from the future. I think I learned what the Meal Boosters Special is. It's when you pay for the most expensive shipping option and then 12 days later, they haven't even started packing your order. I guess the special is you spend $33 on 1 sample pack and then they never give it to you.
Now, I'm just gonna kind of eat these as they show up. I think it will be a more accurate representation of what it's like to actually eat these as a snack. To just sort of eat them one at a time rather than sitting down to do a giant protein bar mukbang and then shit my pants. So this is called Munch Better. They're protein brownies, and I know they're gonna taste exactly like a brownie and not just sort of vaguely look like one. Wow, what a roller coaster that was. Half the time it's in my mouth, I taste nothing. And then the other half, it tastes like what I imagine brownie mix straight out of the box would taste like if I just had a spoonful of it. It is also very dense, which I think like can be a bad thing, but in that way, it feels like it would be very filling. Like if I ate one of these, maybe it wouldn't satisfy my sweet tooth as much as an actual brownie would, but it would take so long to eat this and then digest it that my body's gonna be so busy working on that I won't even have time to think about other food. I feel like I've been eating this for like an hour. It wasn't as good as I hoped it would be, but it certainly wasn't as bad as I feared it might be.
Whoa, way to go out on a limb there, buddy. Now, there is a lot of protein in these, so you gotta temper your expectations a little bit, but here's how I would rate each flavor. The hazelnut was actually really good. I would definitely eat that again. The chocolate and coconut were both fine, and the peanut butter? Do not talk to me about the peanut butter. It smelled bad, it tasted bad, I was physically unable to finish it, and also I just wanted to share this review from their website. Pretty bad experience for Tammy. She gave it 1 star and then ended her review by thanking Tammy. You know, I was just craving something sweet, and then I remembered I have a box full of Hornble's Chornbles in the fridge. Good, nice, normal Hornble Chornble. And there's my foot.
Hornble's Cornble sells protein chocolate, 100 calories per bar and 10 grams of protein. I want to know how it stacks up to its regular version. I'm definitely going to choose the Reese's.
I'm gonna have cookies and cream, because this one had the worst reviews, so I kind of want to try what I think might be the worst, and then it would only get better from there, right? It's very lumpy. That's gotta be the lumpiest candy I've ever seen. It's got like goosebumps. That's not that bad. I spoke too soon. I actually think I like the texture more than I like the taste. I like how crunchy it is, but I'm not crazy about the taste. And I'm not making a mess. Almost all of these have the same aftertaste, and I guess it's monk fruit. I think monk fruit is like a really common sweetener. I don't know if the value is there. For such a little thing, it's almost definitely overpriced. Honestly, I kind of think I just hate the name. I get that they're like, oh, we're silly, you know, we're not like other brands, but it just kind of feels like that girl with the bag of chips on her head, like if she was a chocolate brand instead of a person. I think this is the one I have looked forward to the most. I've definitely gotten this one advertised the most.
ProMix Protein Puff Bars are made by dietitians with 15 grams of protein in each bar.
These are quite literally Rice Krispie treats with 15 grams of protein in them.
It's like a Rice Krispie treat, but not as sweet.
The vanilla is pretty much identical to a regular Rice Krispie treat.
I love Rice Krispie treats, and if this is anything like one, which, let's be honest, it won't be, then it'll be really good. Okay, it looks good.
Best part is they don't have that chalky, chewy consistency all those other protein bars have.
It does not taste as good as it looks, man.
And these other flavors are fire too. I mean, the blueberry tastes just like my grandma.
It just looks so good. It's so shiny. It's glistening. Then you bite into it and you can only be disappointed. I'll give them credit. It's different. If you're tired of eating Quest bars all the time and you want something that just feels completely different to eat, this is like a fun change of pace. I just wish it tasted better. They smell so strong. The moment you open them up, you're like smacked in the face with this odor. Doesn't this look like it'd be delicious? Doesn't this look like you're 13, you just came home from school, you put Nickelodeon on, and you're about to have a delicious treat? That's what it looks like, but it doesn't taste like that. I'm so disappointed.
I kid you not, the box is pretty much gone. Good thing they're almost always out of stock because I don't know if it's safe keeping these in my house.
Snack time. I like that you could tell their printer was running out of ink before they put this on. Really makes me feel good about consuming the contents of this bag. Wow, can you believe that this cup of dirt only has 150 calories? Oh, yeah. Oh, it looks delicious. Now that's a brownie. Went from dirt cup to poop cup. I think I liked it better before I microwaved it. Kind of like just licking the spoon. For something that you just mix with water and throw in the microwave, it does have like a cakey texture to it. It's pretty solid for what it is. I don't remember what I paid for this, but it's also like a crazy protein ratio. I think I judged the book by its cover. The cover being a shitty AI generated image, but still, you know, I judged it. One thing I'll say about this though, it's gotten a little worse as it's cooled off. It was too hot to eat, but then now that it's cold, it tastes gross. There are definitely no chocolate chips in here. It's a pretty misleading photo to use. I mean, I know for a fact there aren't chocolate chips in here because it was a powder that I mixed with water. They are not just gonna materialize from that. Is it still pretty good for what it is? Yeah. But don't lie to me. Up next, we've got Magic Spoon, the high-protein, keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, wheat-free. As far as bars, I got blueberry muffin and double chunk chocolate. Comment down below how many booms you think I'm gonna give. They got 12 grams of protein, 140 calories, pretty solid ratio there. I gotta say, looks pretty good. They nailed the appearance. What I've learned so far in this video is sometimes the better something looks, the worse it tastes. Sometimes it's like they put their entire budget into making something look good, and then they are like, oh fuck, I forgot to taste test it. The texture is really good, actually. It's as crunchy as it looks. It doesn't have like an overwhelming aftertaste, or a before taste for that matter. I couldn't taste it at all until I put it in my mouth. That's really solid. I gotta say, that's one of my favorite things so far. All right, I'll pour myself a little bit of cereal. Okay. It's such an ungodly pink. Like, this color is not of this earth. I could use this table, but I'm not going to. It's more interesting for you guys to watch me struggle a little bit. Because at the end of the day, I'm not a person, I'm just sort of a clown. Why is it kind of like pre-soggy? I was gonna say, it has like kind of a sour taste. And I guess that's the cheesecake. Because it's not just strawberry cereal, it's strawberry cheesecake. And then cheesecake has like a little bit of tartness because of the cheese. Can't tell if I like it or not. Yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say, I don't really have an opinion on it, but I did eat the entire thing. Fine, I'll have some of the other one too. Maybe I don't have to make dinner now. Ugh. I don't like that smell at all. When I review stuff like this, there's the devil on my shoulder is like, you can't like it. Even if you like it, people are gonna think you're shilling for it. You gotta come on here and you gotta shit on the brands, because brands are bad. But then also, I feel like if I shit on every single product, then it's gonna come off like I'm just doing it to be a hater. And I don't wanna be a hater. I wanna like these things. I spent a lot of money on them. This is how I pour cereal now. Yeah, I'm not really digging this one as much. I would never buy this again. I'll probably eat it because I have it, but I can't recommend this. The cheesecake's not that bad. I've actually been thinking about that old video recently because I've been trying so many protein things. And I think at the time, I was just comparing it to regular cereal, and that's not really a fair comparison to make. Like, yes, they're marketing it to be a Fruit Loops replacement, but it's like saying an ice cream sundae tastes better than a banana. Like, yeah, of course it does. It's not the same thing. It doesn't serve the same purpose. I definitely don't love the way this one looks in comparison. I assume those are supposed to be little blueberry specks, but they kind of look like bugs. Kind of looks like I dropped this on the ground, but got a bunch of bugs and dirt in it. Oh, that's nasty. Magic Spoon, what happened? We got off to such a good start. I will say, again, the texture is perfect, but it just tastes bad. It tastes bad. Also, I didn't get myself a drink, so the only thing I have to wash this down with is milk. And I don't want that. Guys, I have to confess something. All week I've been eating things off camera. Sorry, it's just sometimes I get hungry and I don't feel like stopping to set up a tripod first. But what I've learned this week is that these three things are all delicious, and I would put all of them in the same category, which is that they're good, but they don't have a lot of protein in them, so you can't really just compare them side by side with everything else. Like, this brownie is incredible. It's so much better than the Munch Better brownie. But that one has 2.5 times as much protein in it, so of course this one should taste better. It's still insane to me that this is bragging about having 36 grams of protein in it, when in order to have that much, you need to eat the entire fucking bag. I wanted to hate this so bad because of how deceptive that is, but I couldn't, because they're delicious. I've never had fried mung beans before, but they're all so good. The first night I tried them, I had 5 bags. 5 different bags! I was only supposed to have 1. And like, this box you can see is full. That's not because I haven't had any yet. That's because I got 2 boxes and I already ate the entire other one. And you might be thinking, Drew, aren't you gonna like gain weight making this video about how you're trying to find low-calorie protein snacks? Yes, in fact, I already have. But I'm doing research, okay? For the future, I'm taking everything I'm learning and then I can apply it to a diet going forward. It's just, for now, I need to like really be sure if I like something by having 12 of them. And then these are kind of mind-boggling to me because they taste exactly like a chocolate bar. Like, if you didn't
tell me this had 12 grams of protein in it, I wouldn't even think that it did. I would just think it's a regular, like, French chocolate bar. The only thing that caught me off guard with this is that it says woman owned on it. And I'm sorry if this makes me sound like too woke or whatever, but I don't think anybody should own a woman. She can take care of herself. Yo, what's up, fuck fam? Today we're gonna be doing the viral Easy Mac Meal Boosters Challenge. I learned about this from what I would say was the most annoying ad that I got.
And y'all know I like to make it cheesy pleasy, but I also like to make it beefy. Make it cheesy pleasy, Easy Mac Kraft, baby. Kraft is the fam, but this is the health.
Kraft is the fam, but this is the health.
People just say shit, man. It's crazy.
The secret is, for one of them, you don't use the packet, you use this. And then you're healthy. Because this is the health. You know what's funny? I didn't know this. Easy Mac apparently already has 7 grams of protein in it. And this has 15. So if you swap out the cheese for this, it does seem like just yet another very expensive swap to get a marginal amount of protein in. But paying a hefty fee for a very slight difference in protein is sort of the theme of this video. Gonna do regular cheese for this one. Oh man, I thought the other yellow was a little unnatural looking, but this is bright orange. This shit looks radioactive. Before me sit 2 identical foods. There is not a single visual difference in between these 2 mac and cheeses, but there is an important nutritional difference. One of them has slightly more protein, and I bet it just might taste worse. Haven't done this in so long. Hold on, guys. Oh yeah, that shit's good. And now the meal booster. It's different. It's different. I wouldn't say that it's less cheesy than this one is. Like, there's definitely a very cheesy flavor to it, but it's not the right cheese flavor. See, I guess the problem with this being super liquidy was also that a lot of the protein is now at the bottom. And if I don't drink it, then there was no point in doing all that. I think if you want to have mac and cheese and you want to add more protein to it, just like throw some chicken in there, throw a couple hot dogs in there, you know? Now this takes me back to being a kid. Just as salty as I remember. All done. My stomach kind of hurts.
But of course, there's no shortage of meals you can boost with this powder. The next day, I mixed some into my eggs. And fun fact about this, while I was getting this shot, which I'm now realizing I didn't even need, my phone fell into the eggs. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever dropped your phone into eggs before, but I have to say, it's pretty gross.
Boy, oh boy, I can't wait to eat these.
They smell... It's kind of the end of that sentence. All right, well. Let's see. Honestly, I don't hate it. A couple of bites have been bad because it's just been a chunk of cheese powder that didn't get mixed in. But that's my fault, let's be honest. I actually don't mind it. I think it goes well with the egg. I just don't know if it's worth so much extra money for this. And like, eggs are expensive already. This is like an $8 meal. I don't know if I can justify that.
Man, I just wish there was some other way to add protein to your food and make it taste cheesier, but I can't think of any other way to do that. A food that has protein in it and tastes like cheese. Tastes like cheese and has protein. There's gotta be something, right? Nope. Only meal boosters.
Protein candy. Crazy, right? I mean, the very phrase seems like an oxymoron, and yet the only moron here is you for not thinking that it was possible. Okay, expand your mind a little bit. Now, on the surface, this seems way too good to be true. 15 grams of protein, only 150 calories, and instead of sugar, they've loaded it up with a bunch of fiber. And that's good for pooping. I'm gonna start with the blue raspberry. I think in general, blue raspberry is one of my favorite flavors. Like if I can only have one candy for the rest of my life, blue raspberry sour punch straws, no hesitation. Well, they smell really good. I will say they also look a little vaguely of turds. If you told me this just came out of someone's butt, I would believe you. Okay. If you've ever wondered what candy would taste like if it was sour but not sweet, wonder no more. I think this might be one of the grossest things I've ever put in my mouth. The strawberry might be better
Because the sour taste is really throwing me off. It's so gross. Like, I think as humans, our nature when we taste something sour is to think that there's something wrong with it, right? Like fruit that's gone bad. I'm just tapping into my evolutionary instincts and they're telling me, spit this out, dude. Yeah, strawberry's not as bad. I don't know if it would be possible. I had a pretty visceral reaction to that first one. They nailed the texture. It feels like a gummy candy, like a gusher without the juice. But you can't just replicate texture and then call it a day, you know? As great as it is that there's so many protein foods that are designed to replace a specific craving you might be having, sometimes I think it might be better to just fight the craving and ignore it than it is to be like, well, I have to have candy right now or I'll die. So I'm gonna eat this rancid fiber ball and then that'll somehow satisfy the same taste. It doesn't. I love the idea. I really do. You know, 10 out of 10 for ambition alone. 0 out of 10 for everything else. Still averages out to be a 5 though. Boy, oh boy, have I been putting this one off. I have had these protein donut mixes for like a month now. I'm not even exaggerating. And they look so tasty, they really do. It's just that every other protein food I got comes in like a bag and I can just eat it. But this I have to prepare. It's got instructions on the back. Some of it's in all caps saying what not to do or you'll fuck it up. I'm gonna fuck it up. Step 1, preheat the oven. I can do that. Maybe I was nervous for nothing. I'm killing it so far. Huh. It does say I need to use a donut pan. I don't have that. I was just gonna use the baking sheet. Okay, I had a month to think this through and it never clicked for me. How the fuck would it be shaped like a donut if I just mix this up and dump it on top of a flat surface? I got it. Oven on. Generously grease the donut pan. Beat egg whites for 2 minutes on high speed until stiff. You know, the phrase on high speed suggests some sort of device that it has like multiple settings on it. I'm gonna be using my hands, which only have one setting. Also beat until stiff. What is this, my nightly routine? Vanilla extract. Now I'm beating for 1 minute on low/medium speed. Hope I'm not going too fast. Now I use a spatula for this next part. Baking is so silly. Why couldn't I have used the whisk for this? Why did I need a separate tool? You just want me to do as many dishes as possible? Looks about even to me. Nice and smooth-ish. I think that's correct. While I wait for this to finish cooking, it's time for the most exciting part of the video, something I've never done before, a giveaway. Guys, I can't eat all these donuts. 6 donuts? I'm just one guy. It's mathematically impossible. And I love my fans. I wouldn't be here without them. So, whatever I don't eat today, I'm gonna be giving back to my community. If you wanna be entered to win this, the leftover donut sweepstakes, comment down below your address, your name, your age, your mom's name, your mom's age, a photo of your mom. I guess what's interesting about this is it's 90 calories, 15 grams of protein for a donut. That's really solid. But that's based on if you use coconut oil spray instead of butter, even though it explicitly tells you to use butter, which is about 100 extra calories on each donut. I just think it's a little deceptive to be like, okay, here's how you make these donuts, and here's all the nutritional information for if you made it a completely different way. Oh wait, you made it the way we told you to? What are you, fucking stupid? Awesome. Time to take these healthy protein donuts and just sort of put a bunch of butter on them. Nailed that. Strike! I am noticing that all the butter's kind of just pooling in the middle. Is that what they wanted me to do? Mix it around like this, you know? This is exactly what they had in mind, I'm sure. I can't lie, this is definitely me when I'm eating protein donuts. Did not stick the landing here, but when do I? Man. Is there anything I can do? I mean, they look good. And I know what you're thinking, Drew, no they don't. It's just that they look like they would taste good, even though they objectively look like shit. All right, moment of truth. All right. It's a lot of work to make this. I went to the store 3 times today. And I think as far as flavor goes, the butter's doing a good amount of heavy lifting here. You know, I feel like the thing with baking is the whole ends up being greater than the sum of its parts. But with this, I can very much taste every individual ingredient. It kind of tastes like eggs. It kind of tastes like applesauce. It definitely tastes like butter. I mean, it tastes all right. It's not like gross. If I was really craving a donut, you know, this almost would fill that. But I can think of so many easier and better ways to get 15 grams of protein in.
Exciting news, everyone. We've made it to our final product. And it is, of course, Cloud protein popcorn. I had to go to 3 different Targets until I could find this. I'm not sure if that means that it's in such high demand it's flying off the shelves, or that it's not actually at most Targets and nobody really gives a shit. Either way, I'm just blessed to have gotten my hands on some. Now, there's a lot of like objective information you can put on the bag for a product to brag about it, the ingredients it has or doesn't have, but I love how many of these products advertise that they taste good. Where other popcorns have a bunch of crap in them, ours is delicious. Really? You think so? Yep. That's popcorn, all right. Not sure what I was expecting. Hey, what the fuck? What does that taste? It tastes like burnt. I think they burnt this. Some of them aren't that bad, but a few of them, yeah. Believe me, I know what burnt popcorn tastes like. I do it all the time. Sometimes I'll get a little high and I'll crave popcorn, and so I'll put some in the microwave, but then I'll forget about it because of the aforementioned being high. And then the microwave beeps and I'm like, fuck, it wasn't supposed to be in there the whole time. I messed up. So I've got a lot of experience with this exact flavor, and I can't believe that it cost as much money as it did. Also, I hate when food brands brag about having ingredients that you can pronounce. How dare you presume to know my reading level, okay? For all you know, every word is hard for me to pronounce. Or is it pronunc? Pronunky? Now, if I was watching a movie and I had this in my hand and I was very mindlessly consuming it, could I easily eat the whole bag and not think twice? Yes. But I could do that with a lot of food. That doesn't make your food special, okay? You put anything in my hands while I'm focusing on something else and I will probably eat it. I don't know though, I just feel like there's something missing. Like maybe I could boost it in some way. Now you're starting to see the vision, right? I can hear your mouth watering. It's actually really gross, the squelching noise is coming from your mouth right now. Oh, look at that, guys, that's to die for. That's simply to die for. Dude, I've had 2 bites. Look at my hand. This was like the first ad I saw for them was put it on popcorn. Okay, and then get it all over your body and furniture. God, I feel like it's still missing something. Ooh, I know. Another bag of meal boosters. Why boost something once when you could boost it twice? I just feel like that's still not enough protein. One more should do it. Oh my gosh, guys. You know, Cloud is the fam, but this is the health. What do you think? You think that's enough? It's gonna have to be. That was my last one. Oh my God, I can feel myself getting stronger. Like every bite is just going straight to my muscles. Wow, my hand is so covered in cheese that the autofocus on the camera prioritized my foot because it didn't recognize this as a human body part. That's how boosted this meal is. Every piece of dust tells a story, and the story is about how fucking yoked I'm about to get. Wow, that really hit the spot. The spot being the back of my throat where a kernel is currently stuck, but you know, it still hit it. Well guys, I've reached the end of my journey. After 2 long months of boosting my meals, eating Kim Kardashian popcorn, and even going to the gym 3 times, it's time to see the results. To be honest, I'm very nervous about this. I've never taken my shirt off on camera before. But if I want to inspire the next generation of bodybuilders, and I do, I need to let my guard down. Here goes nothing.
Oh my God.
I look so good. Go off, King. My pecs are so big I can hold the microphone right in between them. And my nipples, completely gone. I don't have to be self-conscious anymore. Oh, the perfect bicep shape. Narrow, but tall. That's a very coveted look in the gym community. Maybe I've been neglecting my back a little bit. That's all right. Gives me something to work towards. Holy shit, guys. Guys, I'm so proud of myself. It just goes to show you, when you trust the process and you do the right things and you don't take shortcuts and you don't buy a costume from Amazon to make it look like you're stronger than you actually are, you will get results. Well guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and coming along on my, or watching me come along, or for following on this journey where I went from being a scrawny little bitch to being a big hot guy who everybody's attracted to because of my body. Obviously, I couldn't have done this without your support, and without all of the delicious protein products I tried, and also without the steroids that I took. To be honest, I was getting a little nervous that the results weren't materializing the way I hoped that they would, so I have been pumping steroids like crazy into my veins the past 3 days, and it paid off. I look incredible. One of my balls fell off, but that's fine. You only need one. Thanks for watching. Sorry I didn't post in 8 months. Probably won't happen again. Who knows? I love YouTube, but it's only part of my life, and sometimes I have to put it in the back seat while I focus on my health, and that's what I've been doing. I've never been healthier than I am right now. So, oh. There goes the other one.
The Office premiered in 2005 to mixed reviews from an underwhelming number of viewers. Shrinking in the shadow of its acclaimed British counterpart, the show narrowly avoided cancellation after just 6 episodes. About 15 years later, it would go on to become arguably the most popular sitcom of all time. The legacy left behind by The Office is truly inescapable. You'll find GIFs and references from the show in just about every corner of the internet. And that's just for the general public. For the actors that were in this show, forget about it. These people are going to get called by their characters' names for the rest of their lives. Imagine going on a podcast to talk about a TV show you were on 20 years ago, and all of the top comments are like, man, it's so weird to hear Kevin talking normal. Why is he doing that? Make him stop.
I want to kill Kevin Malone.
I guess the thing that happens when you cast as wide of a net as The Office has managed to is that you're gonna pick up a lot of different kinds of people. And I think nowhere has that been more apparent than in the reactions to the new Office sequel series, The Paper. I want you to think of any opinion that someone could have about anything. And I promise you, there is someone out there who has that opinion about this show. There are people who think it's too much like the original. There are people who think it's not similar enough. I've seen people call it a lazy cash grab, and other people say it's the best show they've seen in years. Some people are already asking for fan fiction, and other people are complaining about DEI. Surprise, surprise, another show with women in it. Yeah, I'm out. Wake me up when they make something that's just a bunch of dudes. Young, hot dudes with their shirts off. This person is mad that their husband doesn't kiss them like the guy on the show. This person asked and then answered their own question, and all they had to do was look at the video they were responding to. And this person called Peacock Poopcock. And that's just not nice at all. But the most prevalent opinion I've seen about the show, almost everywhere it gets mentioned, is that it will never be as good as the original and that Hollywood has no new ideas. Now, while I agree that this show probably won't be as good as The Office was, and I am also fairly tired of sequels and spin-offs in lieu of fresh new ideas, the show you're talking about literally was a reboot. The pilot episode of The American Office was a near word-for-word recreation of a show that already existed. Yeah, reboots can be kind of annoying, but this is not the time to make that argument. Also, I think we're revising history a little bit here. Season 1 of The Office was not that good. Season 1 of Parks and Rec was even worse. It took a while for those shows to figure out how to best utilize all the characters and even just find the overall tone. In the case of Parks and Rec, that show really didn't hit its stride until season 3 when they hired Adam Scott and Rob Lowe to replace this guy whose name I could not tell you if my life depended on it. I guess what bothers me about this is that a lot of the people who complain that nothing new gets made anymore also won't give new things a chance because they're not immediately better than the thing they already like. I think an important distinction to make about The Paper is that it's not trying to be The Office 2. Yes, it's made by one of the original creators, it's written and directed in the same style, it takes place just a few towns over from Scranton, and there is one single character from that show that is also in this one. But it's not a continuation of the same story or any of its characters. It's very much trying to be its own thing, and I think does so pretty successfully when they're not slamming you over the head with references to the old show.
It's giving me PTSD from a old boss.
I know who he's talking about.
Maybe too easy for you, Stanley.
I know who he's talking about.
Nobody wants this.
Every time one of these would happen, I would get unreasonably upset. Obviously, I get why they do these, and I do seem to be in the minority with this opinion, but it just feels so pandery. I also think when you lean too much into these references, you're shooting yourself in the foot, because the more these shows are connected, the more it invites comparison. And if people are constantly comparing the two shows, there's gonna be a clear winner. And that's kind of the double-edged sword of a show like The Paper. A lot of people are only going to watch it because it is tangentially connected to The Office, but then they're also going to spend the majority of its runtime comparing the two. And honestly, it's kind of impossible not to. Throughout the pilot, every time a character would come on screen, I would be like, okay, so that's the new Jim, that's the new Pam, and then that's sort of like Angela, and she's like Italian Michael, and that's the new Stanley?
Did anybody hear that?
Oh, sorry. My prejudice is showing. That's Black Creed. Mostly because I was so curious to see what this show was gonna be. I watched all 10 episodes of it, and I have pretty mixed feelings. So there were parts of The Paper that I legitimately laughed out loud at, followed by lines that would make me want to set my TV on fire. The pilot specifically is kind of a mess. Structurally, it's just all over the place. So we open on the old office building and we hear from Bob Vance. And we like that because we remember him from the other show. And then we cut over to a different part of the building and we hear this person talk about Dunder Mifflin, which we remember from the other show. And then we cut to the new office, which for a minute I thought was in London because this guy's British, but it's actually in Toledo. And we learn that this place sells toilet paper and regular paper and newspapers. And then we hard cut to this old documentary about how the newspaper used to be good, and then we cut back to see that now it is bad. And then the theme song plays, and then we're introduced to a second boss, and then she introduces us to everyone else, including Oscar, who we remember from the other show. And then we meet the main character who is coming in to be the third boss, and this is just like the first 9 minutes. It's so disjointed that it almost made me think that the cold open, a scene that has zero actual connection to anything else in the show, was a Peacock mandated insert demanded by some executive who walked into the writer's room with a Google Gemini summary of the script and said, but how will people know that this is The Office if we don't show The Office? Now, if you guys need me for anything else, I will be on a spaceship with Katy Perry. I listened to an episode of the Office Ladies podcast about this pilot, and I felt like it was kind of telling that the very first nice thing they said about the show was just how long it was.
This episode is 33 minutes and 18 seconds. And how much fun is that?
It kind of felt like when someone shows you a movie that you know they love, but you weren't really into it, so you have to just think of anything positive at all to say about it. Yeah, dude, no, the aspect ratio is crazy.
It's called Eat House. Mm-hmm. Get it? Eat House.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, hilarity ensues.
I also think it's funny just because the length is something I did not like about the pilot. I felt like it was way too long. This is a criticism I've had for years with other streaming shows where they leave too much in because there's no mandated length, but then the pacing feels off because of it. Like, one thing that's great about a lot of older network comedies is how they just fly through the episode. It's airtight because it had to be. And I think that if they had just cut out a couple of minutes of the weakest jokes in this pilot, it would have been received a lot better than it was. But instead, a lot of people just gave up on the show altogether. I probably would have too if I didn't force myself to be patient with it. Most shows aren't incredible right out of the gate, and pilots are difficult because there's a lot of things you have to get right. You have to establish the plot, introduce every one of its characters, tell a story that's somewhat wrapped up in one episode, but that provides enough intrigue moving forward so people want to keep watching, all while trying to be funny and interesting with dialogue that needs to exposit but cannot seem expository. It's rare for a series to nail all of that on its first attempt. So I didn't want to hold it against a show that the pilot is a little underwhelming, because at the very least, I do think they set up a really interesting premise, and that's probably the best thing The Paper has going for it. A show about how a once great newspaper has been relegated to just being a clickbait factory whose only purpose is to generate whatever ad revenue it can for its parent company feels super relevant. By far the funniest parts of the pilot are the scenes that satirize the state of modern journalism. I love when Esmeralda proudly shows off her favorite article she's written, and it's just like the kind of thing you'd see at the bottom of a news page with some sensationalized title and a crappy AI thumbnail.
And then you keep learning about colors of cars.
There are so many colors.
To me, this is what gives the paper a much stronger hook than it would if it was just another workplace comedy about a job that sucks. Because even though that premise worked great the first time they did it, if that's all this show was, it would feel completely pointless. This premise also gives you something to root for as you're watching it. There's a goal that everybody's working towards. The main guy, Ned, comes in with this Leslie Knope style passion and determination to turn this company around. And if you can buy into it, his enthusiasm starts to feel infectious. But I think it definitely takes a few episodes to get to that point. And part of the reason is because early on, the vibe of the show is kind of atrocious. It feels like everybody's an antagonist. The other bosses are trying to sabotage Ned. None of the employees give a shit. Oscar's pissed off whenever he's on camera. The industry itself is antagonistic. Like, it's already such an uphill battle for them to try to turn around this struggling newspaper that to add in all these other elements on top of that make it incredibly frustrating to watch. It's almost the inverse problem the first season of The Office had. In that show, you had to watch a bunch of people deal with one shitty guy. But in this show, you have to watch one guy deal with a bunch of shitty people. And it makes you not really like any of the characters in a show that is only going to work if you like the characters. But for the first couple episodes, it feels like everyone is just a slightly different flavor of stupid. This guy is stupid, but has kids. This guy is stupid, but old. This woman is stupid and loud. There would be funny moments, but it just felt like something was missing. Like there were some interesting ingredients in the pot, but it wasn't melding together into a good meal. In episode 2, I really liked the dynamic they were setting up with Adam and Adalola as a comedic duo when they go out and try and fail to do some investigative journalism. It had a real Parks and Rec vibe, you know? There were a couple lines I chuckled at.
I'm not buying any of this shit. You can answer questions here, you can answer them down at the station.
And it made sense that because they're so gullible, they would believe these teenagers who lie to them about the new craze that everyone is doing, and then they naively go write a story about it. It felt like everything was setting up for a really solid sitcom B-plot. But the specific lie they told them was that all the kids are acting like dogs. So then they start barking. And then later on, the episode ends with the two of them getting arrested for barking. And it just felt like there had to have been some other funny specific they could have put in. Like that was maybe the placeholder, and then they just never replaced it with a better idea. In episode 4, they established that one of their biggest competitors is a blog run by a local high school. And it's fun because even though there's this rivalry there, at the end of the day, it's just a random kid. As things go back and forth, you feel like it's all gonna lead up to something big and funny, and then all of a sudden the episode just kind of ends. They trick him into putting out a fake story to damage his credibility. They write their own article about it, and then Ned is like, maybe we shouldn't have done that. And then it's over. So like the climax of the episode is just a quiet reaction to something that happened off screen. The ending of every episode doesn't need to be some outlandish over the top moment, but I feel like it should at least crescendo. You know, that's what you tend to expect out of a sitcom. That they're gonna set up 2 or 3 different storylines that'll each slowly build up until they all converge in a satisfying way. And almost every one of these early episodes just kind of fizzles out at the end. Like we're kind of getting close, but we're never all the way there. And that was my biggest opinion about the show through the first 4 episodes. But then for whatever reason, suddenly in episode 5, everything kind of started to click for me. Maybe it was just more consistently good writing. Maybe it was that I had now had enough time to understand the characters. Maybe it was the Sawyer from Lost cameo. It was probably that. But if I had to narrow it down to just one thing, I think it would be that this is when the Esmeralda character finally makes sense. By far, the most polarizing thing about this show is Esmeralda. People hate her. A lot of viewers have said she's the reason they stopped watching the show altogether. They say she's annoying and too much and that she's trying too hard. And if anyone from Peacock is reading all of these comments, I am begging you to ignore them. They are wrong. She is hilarious. This show would be so fucking boring without her. She's kind of the only character with energy, and it's such a fun energy. Her performance feels completely unique. I feel like I've never seen this exact character on TV before, and I love it. Is she annoying sometimes? Absolutely. but she's supposed to be. That's kind of her role on the show, is to cause chaos that everybody else has to deal with. But it's not because she's just a terrible person, it's usually out of self-preservation. She feels threatened when Ned comes in and is potentially better at doing her job than she is, so she tries to make his life more difficult. And because her motives are always so transparent, I feel like you can empathize with her. Sometimes she does way too much because she's so desperate for approval. It's fun to watch someone who wears their emotions on their sleeve and is incapable of hiding how they feel. And I don't know if you noticed, but almost everything I just said is also how you could describe Michael Scott. I'm not saying that this performance is as good as Steve Carell was in the prime of his career, but I like that it's different enough to stand on its own. Michael Scott was lightning in a bottle, and the thing they say about lightning is you can't catch it twice. So I'm glad they didn't try to. That they didn't try to replace that character with someone doing a lot of the same things with the same look and the same mannerisms. Like Tim Key, also very funny in this. From the moment he steps on screen, it just kind of feels like he's doing a Ricky Gervais impression. He's doing a great job, but it certainly doesn't feel new. Whereas Sabrina Impacciatore feels very refreshing. And I'm just hoping the showrunners are aware of what they have in her and aren't going to lobotomize the show in an effort to appease a handful of angry reviews. It's more than a handful, but still. Overall, episode 5 is when this show really started to gel for me, and it only continued through the rest of the season. Each character started to become more defined and not just like interchangeable dumbasses.
I just can't have any more kids. 4 is just about manageable because you get 1 per hand per adult, but 5, I've been thinking like, how do you even do that? To use a foot? And then people think you're kicking them?
Once Ken and Esmeralda realize that their goals are aligned and they become more of a team, their dynamic gets so much funnier. Also, as a longtime fan of Eric Rahill, it's just really cool to see him get more opportunities, both as an actor and a writer. His character, Travis, is someone I'm intrigued by, but I still think has a lot of untapped potential. My favorite arc in the whole show starts in episode 7 when they introduce their new product, a flushable glove that you can use to wipe your ass, and ends in episode 8 when Esmeralda takes her son to audition for the commercial.
Do my rewrite. You know, I'm a journalist. I like writing, so.
I was born filthy in sin, so it'd be
Not that one.
It's baseball season, and the only stains my single mom should be getting out of my pants are grass stains.
This specific tone and style of comedy is something I missed from the Greg Daniels cinematic universe, and I'm happy to have it back. The second half of the season isn't just funnier than the first half. In a lot of ways, it kind of feels like a different show. It's significantly less pessimistic, so it's not as draining to watch. For me, it started to have that comfy sitcom feeling where it's like, is this the greatest show in the world? No, but if there were 80 more episodes of this, I would happily watch all of them over the course of a month. Unfortunately though, right as things are all coming together for the paper, it ends with a finale that just felt so forced and rushed. Just a few hours of screen time ago, Ned came into an office with no journalists and no skills. The first paper they put out had the headline, "No news is good news," because everybody messed up so bad they couldn't even publish something in time. And then in the season finale, just 8 episodes later, the Toledo Truth Teller wins a bunch of awards. And also Ned and Mayor profess their love for each other, and everything works out for everybody at the end. And I think this is where the show needs to decide what it wants to be. Do they want it to be about a bunch of incompetent morons failing to do their jobs in an entertaining way? Or do they want it to be a kind of feel-good story about the scrappy underdogs making a comeback? Because you can't really do both. You can't have 7 episodes dedicated to how stupid everybody is, and then 3 episodes later, they're winning journalism awards. It's not a satisfying ending if it doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm not saying you should have to drag everything out just for the sake of making it longer, but a feel-good story is really only gonna feel as good as the amount of time it took to get there. In Parks and Rec, Leslie wins the election for city council at the end of season 4, about 70 episodes into the show. In The Office, Jim and Pam had all this tension and chemistry through the first 2 seasons, but they didn't kiss for the first time until 30 episodes in. So when those things finally happened, it felt like a huge deal because we'd spent so much time building up to it. I understand from the showrunner's point of view, they were only given 10 episodes to work with, so they probably just wanted to give it a nice happy ending just in case Peacock didn't give them a season 2. But I really hope going forward they can get that number closer to 20 or 25 episodes to give everything a chance to breathe. They've already renewed it for a season 2, and they're planning to air the current episodes on NBC, so maybe it'll get more of the network sitcom treatment going forward, which would be good because I think that's how this show would best thrive. Like I said, the paper made me realize how much I missed being able to casually watch a new sitcom. The kinds of shows that you can watch a few episodes every night over the course of like 3 months and have it serve as this cozy distraction from whatever might be stressing you out in life. It's like the comfortability of a familiar set and a group of people you just get to spend a bunch of time with. Clearly people still yearn for this type of show, and there just aren't nearly as many of them made anymore. That energy is more often put into the high quality prestige dramedies, you know, shows that are funny sometimes, but also stressful, and we can't put a bunch of episodes out because we're trying to win Emmys. There are a few network sitcoms that have received a decent sized audience. I just started watching Abbott Elementary, and I like that so far. I've heard St. Dennis Medical is pretty funny, but every time I look at the title, my red dead ass wants to call it Saint Denis. And judging by the number of commercials I've seen for Ghosts every time I've tried to watch football the past 6 years, it seems like that one's doing pretty well too. But the most watched shows continue to be comedies that wrapped up over a decade ago. It's kind of funny that because of the way TV has evolved, the best case scenario for these sitcoms is that they garner just enough of an audience to keep making it. And then once all 7 seasons are done and it can be thrown onto Netflix 8 years later, that's when it becomes the most popular it's ever been by a mile. But I also wonder if it's only gonna get harder for sitcoms to even get to that point because of how different our approach to entertainment has become. Historically speaking, every sitcom needs some amount of time for the pieces to all come together. But the amount of time that people, myself included, are generally willing to give something is shorter than it's ever been. If you go on TikTok or Instagram somewhat regularly, you've probably gotten used to the feeling of, if this video does not interest me within 1 second, I'm getting the hell out of here. Make me laugh right now or stop wasting my time. My precious, precious time that I spend 9 hours a day of melting my brain with the flashlight I keep in my pocket. The Office was an incredible success story, but I have to wonder, if that first season came out today, would people be willing to give the same amount of time for the show to figure itself out? Or because of our increased impatience, would we be much quicker to just write it off? I don't know, because this is a hypothetical scenario I made up in my head. Anyway, I'm optimistic about the paper. I think they've planted a lot of interesting seeds, and I'm curious to see what it can grow into. And at the same time, I understand the frustration from people who don't even want to give it a chance, because it does seem like yet another reboot coming along to dangle something familiar in front of us so we stand and cheer. But as long as they continue to make the show its own thing and lean less into all the nostalgia bait, I think there's a lot of potential here. In the same way that Parks and Recreation was successful without ever needing to have its universe tie into The Office's, I think this show can succeed on its own the more it moves away from the original. But no matter what they do, they're gonna disappoint someone. If they keep Esmeralda around, some people are gonna stop watching. If they get rid of her, I'll stop watching. And for some people, it seems like they're only gonna keep watching just in case more Office characters pop in. What if Dwight had a son? And what if Jim had a son? And then they could be friends. And then we could just do the same exact show with the same exact characters, but played by different actors. What is this, HBO's Harry Potter series? Move on! Nothing you ever watch is going to immediately be on par with the show you've watched 100 hours of. You gotta open your heart up first, brother. All I ask is that you try not to develop a strong opinion about something before you even give it a chance. Try to go into everything with a clean slate, and if you like it, awesome. If you don't, that's fine too, but at least you've figured that out on your own. Just don't let some stranger on the internet tell you how you should feel about something. Unless it's me, of course. You can trust me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I know that a random ass Peacock show is not exactly the most pressing thing going on in the world right now, but lately my brain has felt like mush, so for the time being, this is the best I can do. Be sure to subscribe if you want to see my next video, where I will be ranking every number in order of how big they are. Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to Roku City, where the streets are paved with blood and all crime is legal. You know when you're trying to navigate your rapidly deteriorating smart TV and some sponsored bullshit comes up telling you to watch like Darman Christmas, and you're like, who would even click on this? I would click on this. It's been a long year, and frankly, I'm tired of thinking. It hurts my head, and I don't want to do it anymore. So I'm going on autopilot. Whatever my stupid TV tells me to watch, I'm going to. No searching, no scrolling, whatever pops up, I'm hitting play.
Hey, why didn't your brother get any?
First of all, he's not my brother.
Oh no, he's drunk. Now I have to admit, the main reason I'm making this video is out of spite. I had this fun little idea for a December video where I was gonna search Christmas on every streaming service and keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling till I got all the way to the bottom where, in my head, I would find some random ass terrible movie that we could all make fun of and have ourselves a merry little Christmas. Well, I was wrong, because that's not how any of these fucking apps work anymore. If you search something on a streaming service, you're lucky if you get more than one page of results. So how am I supposed to find the crap? I know there's crap in here. Show it to me. There's like 14,000 titles on Prime Video, and you're telling me only 16 of them are Christmas movies? I don't believe you. Hulu has a few dozen, but most of these are only available if you have Hulu with Paramount Plus with Showtime, which in spite of its impeccable branding, I don't. On Netflix, it seems like there's more results until you realize about half of these are just hour-long videos of a fire. Wednesday fireplace? What about the rest of the week? I can see that there's way more stuff in here, but none of it comes up when I search. Why can't I look for it myself? Why do I have to click on a movie first if I want to see more that are similar? I thought maybe my phone would work better, but on there, Netflix doesn't even try. Christmas movie. What's a Christmas movie? Oh, White Chicks? Groundhog Day? Benjamin Button? What about White Chicks? Groundhog Day? Benjamin Button? Are you sure you don't want to watch Benjamin Button? I don't want your curated list. I want a search feature that's so all-encompassing and unalgorithmic that it's showing me every episode of House Hunters that took place in a city with the word Santa in it. But even this is only going to exist until HBO gets absorbed by one of the other two companies. If you want to watch Christmas movies on Prime Video, you have to go to their holiday collection, where you'll be shown a bunch of categories that frankly don't mean anything. What's the difference between holiday cheer and festive inspiration? Those are two different things? What does home for the holidays mean? Are these romantic Christmas movies? I thought that's what this one was. Are they movies about spending time with your family? They already have a category for that. But here's my favorite thing. There's actually a movie in here called Home for the Holidays. But it's not in Home for the Holidays. It's in Festive Inspiration. Home for the Holidays is for Sister Swap 1 and 2. Who made this? And don't get me started on It's Giving Holiday Escape. This category is just any movie. Need an escape from Christmas movies? No! Otherwise, I wouldn't have clicked on the Christmas movie button. So anyway, that's why I decided to just give up and watch whatever they want me to. You know why? Because it doesn't matter. They're just gonna funnel you towards the same 3 things anyway, so why even bother? You're not supposed to think when you look at your phone. You're not supposed to use your brain when you turn on the TV. Your job is to sit there and stare at whatever we put in front of you. So fine, Netflix, you win. What do you want me to watch? Aw, man. All right, I'll talk about Stranger Things. I know I'm uploading this video before the final episode comes out, but I have a lot of opinion about the first 98% of this show, so I'm gonna talk about it anyway. Like most people, I loved season 1 of Stranger Things. The story was fun and original, it was beautifully directed, the music was fantastic. They did such a good job nailing the atmosphere that it made a lot of people, myself included, nostalgic for a time period they weren't even alive for. And if the show ended after one nearly perfect season like they originally planned to, I think it would have gone down as one of the greatest short-lived achievements in television history, right up there with shows like Chernobyl or Fleabag. But I don't blame Netflix for wanting to keep the gravy train rolling, nor do I think everything that came after it was a total waste of time. I thought season 2 was pretty good, season 3 a little bit more so.
How many children are you friends with?
And season 4 was legitimately great. I don't think it needed to be 75 hours long, but its peaks were some of the best of the entire show. But I think you can only ask for so much patience out of your audience. It's been almost 10 years since the first season came out. At this point, I'm not that excited to watch a bunch of 27-year-olds pretending to be teenagers stick their arms out and yell until their nose bleeds. The returns are starting to diminish. I've thought about this a lot, and I think I've come up with the perfect comparison. Stranger Things 5 is the same as Kingdom Hearts 3. Hear me out. The first Kingdom Hearts game is about a young boy who gets separated from his friends and family and has to fight through darkness on his journey to reconnect with them. It's simple yet effective. It's a little goofy, but it's also Donald Duck. By the time Kingdom Hearts 3 came out, 17 years later, I found myself skipping every cutscene because I didn't know what the fuck everyone was talking about anyway.
It's not the sum of our parts. It's the sum of our hearts. Yeah!
Similarly, Stranger Things 1 was a story about a young boy who was taken from his friends and family and their fight through darkness on a journey to reconnect with him. It's simple yet effective. It's a little goofy, but it's also Millie Bobby Brown. In Stranger Things 5, we learn that actually the Upside Down isn't the evil place, it's a wormhole, a bridge between the real world and the truly evil place. And the bridge has been deteriorating because Will had too many dreams about it. So now the gang, which is like 30 people at this point, has to breach the abyss so they can defeat Vecna by attacking his core in Dimension X. And Vecna's been posing as Mr. What's-It to lure a bunch of kids into his mind palace.
What's it?
His real name is Henry.
AKA Vecna. AKA 1. That's too many names.
Also, Eleven's sister is back. Definitely not because we wanted to justify that random throwaway episode we did in season 2, but because it's important to the story. What this show needs is more characters. There aren't enough characters. I think what's taken me out of the show the most at this point is the apparent lack of stakes. They always seem to be in danger. They're always saying stuff like this.
You will die! We will die! Holly will die! Everyone will die!
But then nobody ever does. Life or death situations are just temporary inconveniences. The Demogorgons ruthlessly rip through every background extra without breaking a sweat, and yet when they face any of the main characters, they're suddenly frozen in place. Like they all emanate some invisible force field that makes them invincible. Even when they inevitably kill off 1 or 2 people in the final episode tonight, it won't change the fact that they've missed every opportunity to do this throughout the show. Not only would this have made the danger actually feel real, but I think it would have better served a lot of these characters. Imagine if Steve died as a hero last season instead of the random new guy they introduced just so they had someone to kill off in his place. Imagine if Hopper actually sacrificed himself 2 seasons ago. Then he could have had a meaningful, emotional send-off instead of just getting dragged through to the finish line, even though he's not adding anything to the show at this point. What we're left with now is a show with a hugely bloated cast that spends half of their screen time just explaining things to each other. Way too much of this season is characters in a room answering questions or coming up with a plan, and they all finish each other's sentences. Yeah, I got it.
It'll probably take days.
His powers are...
And Nate, try and keep the telemetry signal within -60 and -70 dB. Get them to Murray. Smuggle them out of Hawkins.
All before anyone notices they're gone.
Dick.
What?
Robin somehow has to serve as both a ditzy comic relief, but also the main deliverer of exposition, which feels kind of contradictory, but I guess they have to put this much on her plate because she's one of only a few of the young people on the cast who grew into being a good actor. Maybe it's unfair to criticize any of the individual actors when there's so many nothing performances. So is it the acting, the directing, the writing, or some combination of all 3? The writing is so bad this time around, it's making me question my memory of the other 4 seasons. Were there always this many Disney Channel ass lines? Or like AAA video game writing tropes?
Dick.
What?
Sorry, did I say that out loud? I thought I was talking in my head.
That was supposed to be an inside thought.
We're going in there. We're going in there.
We're going to the Scary Monster Place? We're going to the Scary Monster Place.
Is that supposed to be English, freak?
And why in this universe, where evil and crazy shit has been happening for like 5 years now, do people still not believe anyone when they say that something evil and crazy is happening?
Monsters aren't real, Holly.
Monsters are real, but not the one you're talking about.
Monsters and alternate dimensions. Who is stupid enough
enough to believe that. You are going through withdrawal.
Robin, that doesn't make any sense. You must be high on drugs. Brother, what city have you been living in? Because it sure doesn't sound like Hawkins, Indiana. Of course, this season is not all bad. In fact, some of it's still really solid. At least half of the cast is still giving really great performances. I actually teared up when Dustin pleaded for Steve not to put himself in danger because he didn't want to lose another one of his friends. And Vecna, both in human and Demogorgon form, is a very intimidating villain. Except when you can see his legs. His legs look dumb as hell. But you know, maybe in that way he's the perfect representation of what Stranger Things has become. The top half is the aesthetic that you see on the surface, a show that maintains the appearance of something competent, but is perched on top of an ever-wavering foundation. Those damn legs. They're too fragile, and we just called it quits in season 4. They would have held on until their final moments, but we got greedy. Now they're trembling under the weight of a world we made too big for its own good. Or maybe they'll stick the landing tonight and I'll be wrong. I hope so. I don't want this show to fail. I don't want it to become the next Game of Thrones. It deserves a good ending. My official prediction for the finale? Thanks for asking. I think everybody dies except for Derek and one Demodog, and together they have to repopulate the earth. Let's cleanse our palate with some good old-fashioned Christmas slop. Hot Chocolate Holiday is a story that could only exist in Christmas Town, which is what I like to call the unspecified fictional city where these kinds of movies take place. You know, where it doesn't quite look like real life. It's almost like they're filming inside a snow globe. That's where this movie's set. It's your classic Romeo and Juliet story about two people falling in love in spite of the fact that they own rival hot chocolate cafes. That's right, this town has not one, but 2 cafes that specialize in hot chocolate, and they are right next to each other.
So you're telling me that more people buy your hot chocolate than your coffee?
I love this stuff.
Colette's Cafe is named Colette's Cafe because it's a cafe and her name is Colette. Marcus's Cafe sells sweet pastries and it's called Sweet Pastries. Now the entire plot of this movie is that Colette thinks Marcus stole her hot chocolate recipe and she's freaking out about it. She's making her employees do undercover recon. She's obsessively running taste tests. Wait, why didn't she just drink it? She didn't need to stick her finger in there.
I love this stuff.
This whole thing is crazy to me because, like, I haven't had a ton of hot chocolate in my life, but aren't they all exactly the same? How many different ways are there to make hot chocolate? Surely not enough that you could accuse someone of stealing yours. It's chocolate and it's hot. Both the recipe and the temperature at which it's served are in the name. But they fight about this the whole movie.
That's ridiculous.
This whole thing is ridiculous.
It's a pretty insane choice for a movie plot, but I'm mostly just upset because this was setting up for a perfect twist ending that they completely ignored. See, Colette's recipe has been passed down from her grandmother, and that's why she's so particular about it. He insists he didn't steal it from her, that it's his own proprietary recipe. So anyway, they bicker back and forth for a while. Things escalate romantically, they hook up. Now they're laying in bed together, out of breath, smiling. They just had sex. And that's when he's like, all right, I'll tell you, the reason I'm so certain that I didn't steal your recipe is that mine is actually pretty old. See, I got it from my grandmother. Mine is from my grandmother. What? We're cousins? But we just raw dog. But no, there's no incest. Just boring old regular love. Actually, nothing else really happens in this movie until his cafe catches on fire, and it definitely wasn't her. She wasn't being vengeful and crazy because he stole her recipe. That would make the movie interesting. They actually never figure out what caused it. They kind of just keep beating around the bush.
Do they have any idea what caused this?
They think it came from the kitchen.
Any ideas on the cause?
Might have been an oven.
They think it just started itself.
The more time we're closed, the less money we make.
That's so true. Everybody in this movie is really smart. This guy's a construction worker, which you can tell because of his hat. And he's like, yeah, I don't know, man. You should just do it.
I'm booked for the next 2 months.
You could do a lot of the work yourself, though.
I can't?
Yeah, you're just gonna need one of these hats. And so he does. They all work together because that's what Christmas is about.
I love this stuff.
Okay, great. They cleared out all the debris, but the walls are still burnt. You're just gonna like paint over them? Are they gonna do the landlord special at the hot chocolate cafe? Before we even get an answer to that, Colette surprises Marcus by bashing a hole in the wall.
What are you doing?
Tearing down the wall?
Look, now we have one big cafe instead of 2 little ones.
If it's okay with you.
If it's okay with you? A little late to be asking that question.
We're combining Colette's Cafe and Sweet Pastries.
Sweet pastries here?
But sweet pastry's there.
Why?
Because it makes sense.
Well, hard to argue with that logic. Sure, I guess they could have finished the other side before turning her business into an active construction zone, but where's the fun in that? It's Christmas.
I think I'm falling in love with you.
Why is there a hole in the wall?
I love this stuff.
The best thing about watching that movie was it updated my Hulu algorithm, and now they're recommending nothing but bangers. I'm talking Fred Claus in Spanish. Christmas in Tennessee.
There's no way they're gonna make it in for the Christmas Eve service tonight.
Well, why don't you sing it?
I haven't sung in years. I can't do that.
Mom, I need you to sing.
Gary's gonna sing. Gary's gonna sing. Gary's gonna sing.
Of every childlike heart tonight.
But I didn't watch any of those because I saw something called Cowboy Christmas Romance was the #3 movie on Netflix, and I knew I had to see it for myself. This movie's all about the completely unexpected pairing of a city girl and a country boy. That doesn't make any sense. They're from entirely different walks of life. What could they possibly have in common? I don't know. Ever heard of beer?
Beer?
Yeah.
I remembered you liked IPAs.
Same.
I remembered that I like IPAs too. Oh boy, the sparks are flying now.
Horses are a lot easier for me than people. Why don't you grab a few of those apples?
Oh, no, I don't.
Grab some of the apples and give her one. And give her another 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 one.
Oh, no, I don't.
Trust me.
The most noteworthy thing about this movie to me is that the guy who plays her brother
Bless you, little brother.
might be the poutiest person I've ever seen. Everything he says is through gritted teeth.
Grab a plate if you're hungry. Yeah, coffee's over there. Chop up those peppers.
He barely opens his mouth the whole movie. It's awesome.
Cheer or not. Everything okay?
Hey, come on, buddy, cheer up. It's Christmas. Christmas Eve.
If you please, it's time for the main event of Christmas Eve.
Our December 22nd tradition. Dad's gonna sing a song.
This Christmas.
Wait, he's not. Who's singing? Why did they make it seem like he was gonna sing and then not have him even pretend like he was?
No, don't stop.
Don't stop? He never started. I do like that 2 of the ornaments on this tree are just full-size cowboy boots. You gotta admit, that's pretty cool. And yeah, they fucking a barn. You can take the boy out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the boy.
I love this stuff.
Say what you want about this movie, but they employed a lot of horse actors. I just hope this inspires all the young ponies out there trying to break into the industry. Keep your head up. For as long as white women have cable TV, you'll never be out of work. All right, fine. I'll talk about something good so I'm not just bitching the whole time. Forewarning, I'm about to spoil most of the first season of Pluribus, so maybe skip ahead if you haven't watched it yet. With that out of the way, this show is awesome. And it's been really interesting to see some of the discourse around it. The main criticism of Pluribus is that it can be agonizingly slow. Not enough stuff happens, it's a waste of time, and while I mostly disagree with this, it certainly drags at some points, I understand why it's happening. I honestly think the biggest pitfall of Pluribus is that it's gotten too popular too quickly. In the middle of the very first season, it was announced that this is already the most streamed show in the history of Apple TV. Now, this is partly because it's made by Vince Gilligan, who's responsible for 2 of the most acclaimed shows ever made, and also because only like 100 people are subscribed to Apple TV, so probably not a huge bar to clear. But having a show get so much traction before its first season is even halfway done can lead to a lot of people basing their opinion on an incomplete picture. The pilot of Pluribus is incredible. It's like a beautifully directed modern episode of The Twilight Zone. It's propulsive, it's suspenseful, especially if you go into it not knowing anything about what the fuck is going on. You can see the seeds of an apocalypse, but the specifics of it are unclear. These people are getting infected by something, but they're not turning into bloodthirsty monsters sprinting around looking for someone to kill. They're a different kind of zombie. They're human, but not entirely. It's like their free will has dissipated and they're all moving in unison towards a calling that seems out of their control. Eventually, the entire human race, with just a handful of exceptions, has transitioned into this hive mind. They each share one consciousness. They know everything everyone else thinks and feels. They have no sense of or desire for individuality because they now live to serve the same goal. To figure out why these 13 people didn't transition with them and use every resource on Earth to finish what they started.
We will figure out what makes you different. Figure it out. Why?
So we can fix it. So you can join us.
It's such a cool premise that had me hooked instantly. And then nothing really happens for a while. Carol is pissed off all the time, and it's kind of frustrating to watch. She meets the other survivors, if you will, and none of them share her desire to turn things back to the way they were, which is kind of frustrating to watch. For a couple episodes, I had this feeling of like, okay, I get it. They all work together for the common good, and Carol doesn't trust them, but we're seeing the same types of scenes over and over again. So where is this going? Why am I investing in a show that doesn't seem to be moving towards something? I think the reason it feels so slow early on is because the writers are committed to organic character development, and that's something that takes time. As an audience, we often want instant gratification from the people we're watching on screen. Come on, do something. I put my phone down for this. But this isn't how real people act. And change, especially in the face of life-altering circumstances, doesn't happen overnight. Most of the criticism seems to get levied specifically towards Carol. She's paranoid, she's distrusting, she refuses to accept what's become of her life, and sure, it's not always the most fun to watch, but it always feels authentic. How is she supposed to act in this situation? In a single moment, the world as she knew it ceased to exist, and now she's stuck in this apocalyptic dystopia completely alone. These people, or whatever they are responsible for this. They're the reason her wife dropped dead in front of her. And then while still wrestling with the emotions of this, she goes to meet up with the only other people on Earth in her same position, and none of them even acknowledge that there's a problem to solve. Not only have they already made peace with things, but they think she's the crazy one. Try imagining yourself in this situation. You would be losing your mind. So why then do we expect this character to act in a way that wouldn't make sense? Just because it would be more interesting to watch? What exactly do you want this show to be? It takes literal months of grief and solitude for Carol to finally snap. We see her go through multiple stages of denial, anger, acceptance, until she finally gets so miserably lonely that she realizes she'd rather spend time with an alien that looks like a human than continue to suffer on her own. I think it's a beautiful and realistic depiction of someone's journey with grief. And maybe the problem is that's just not the story some people came to see. I think that's okay though. I respect that Vince Gilligan, knowing how many eyes are gonna be on his work at this point, is not just trying to play to the largest possible crowd. They're convicted in the show that they wanna make, and they're not gonna force certain things to happen because they're worried about some people getting bored. If you'd asked me how I felt about Better Call Saul after the first season, I would have said, it's pretty good. I enjoyed it, but ask me how I feel after watching season 6, and I'll tell you it's one of my favorite shows ever made. I'm all in on Pluribus. I expect a similar trajectory because Ray and Vince and his crew are too talented to disappoint. And even if the plot stalls from time to time, at least you know the detour they're taking is the scenic route. Anyway, that's my video about the 4 things I watched this month. Sometimes on YouTube you spend 2 months writing an essay about capitalism, and other times you pull an idea out of your ass and throw some shit together because the holidays are stressful and this is the best you could come up with. I'll be back stronger than ever in 2026, unless, of course, I die tonight in a tragic fireworks accident. Goodbye.
It's Plurbin time.
I feel like for the past 3 years, I've heard over and over again that a recession is about to hit. The stock market is going to crash. The housing prices are going to come back down to earth any day now. And yet somehow all of these things keep not happening. And for most people, it doesn't make sense. What do you mean the economy's good? My dentist just tried to get me to sign up for a credit card. Since the pandemic, the cost of living has skyrocketed. Inflation is out of control. Groceries have never been more expensive. Layoffs are happening at an alarming rate. At this point, a college degree might be more likely to get you into crippling debt than it is to help you find a job. And even if you have savings, you're more than likely one stroke of bad luck away from losing it all to medical bills. And yet some people will look you right in the eyes and tell you, I don't know what you're talking about. The numbers are green. Is this guy stupid? The problem is each of these people are kind of correct in their own way. This is the best the economy has ever been if you already have money. If you bought a house 5 years ago, there's a chance it's already doubled in value. If you invested in the S&P 500 in 2021, you could be up as much as 80%. And that's not like saying, you know, you'd be rich if you just bought Bitcoin in 1973. That's just the regular stock market. You didn't need to have some genius level of foresight to be able to do that. You just needed to already have a bunch of cash sitting around. And obviously for the overwhelming majority of people, that is not the case. If you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're not thinking about the stock market. If you're in your 20s, you haven't even been working long enough to save any money to invest. You don't get to benefit from rising home equity if you don't own a house. The only thing this graph represents to you is how much further away that dream is getting. Right now, the average age of home buyers is 59 years old. What a depressing statistic. This is the problem with an economy that disproportionately benefits asset holders instead of the people still trying to earn them. Wealth grows exponentially, but wages aren't even outpacing inflation, which means if your salary hasn't been going up every year, you're effectively making less money. Meanwhile, the fastest way to make $1 million is to just already have 10 million. Leave it in an investment account for a year and congratulations, you now have $11 million. At a larger scale, this is why it feels like there's two different economies happening and they're both moving in opposite directions. 50% of the stock market is owned by the top 1% and only 1% is owned by the bottom 50%. Don't let somebody tell you that these numbers going up should discredit your own lived experience. Don't let somebody who's benefited from untaxed inheritance or years of compound interest granting them passive income tell you that your problem is you're just not working hard enough. No, the real answer is sorry, you should have been born sooner. Have you thought about that? Maybe instead of wasting all that time farting around kindergarten class, you should have been investing in real estate. It's not my fault you're lazy. People are getting squeezed in every direction while also being gaslit into thinking that it's somehow our fault. There's CEOs in earnings calls bragging about how they get to make customers pay for inflation so they don't have to. The economy sucks ass for most people right now. The only reason we're not technically in a recession is because the GDP is still going up. But the only reason the GDP is still going up is because of the AI industry. But the only reason that even looks as good as it does is because a handful of companies are just like passing money back and forth. But there's no recession. You're hallucinating that. Because the AI industry is now single-handedly propping up the entire global economy, there's really only two paths forward. Worst case scenario, turns out it is all bullshit. The bubble pops in spectacular fashion, trillions of dollars of investments cannot get paid out, and everything goes up in flames. Or best case scenario, a few billionaires get even richer. Wait, is that what we're hoping for? All right, you're gonna have to bear with me while I go on another AI rant here. I know I do this like every 6 months, but it's not going away. It doesn't count as beating a dead horse if the horse is still alive. We gotta kill that horse first. People largely do not like AI and are worried about the future it imposes. It's currently being used to make a bunch of promises that almost no one asked for. The main appeal of it comes from corporations who see advancements in AI as a way to further reduce their dependence on human labor. The only thing cheaper than outsourcing jobs is just eliminating them altogether. The wet dream that soils the sheets of every CEO is a company that's somehow run entirely on its own and they can just sit back and collect all the profits for themselves. No more dealing with pesky labor laws or health insurance or can I have Saturday off? My family died. No! Shut up. That's the eventual goal and why they're all pouring billions of dollars into NVIDIA chips and data centers and cool shirts for Mark Zuckerberg. And in the meantime, we're stuck with ChatGPT, a humanized Google search designed to affirm whatever belief you share with it, even if it's incredibly dangerous, or generative video apps that are already being used to trick people into thinking something happened that didn't actually happen. Awesome technology. I'm so glad this exists. And I think the best thing we can do to fight back against AI is to simply not engage with it. The problem is, even if you don't use these tools, if you live in certain parts of the country, you might be paying for them. There's been a lot of really good investigative journalism done on all these new data centers that are popping up around the country, who's funding them and who's getting screwed over in the process. For example, some residents in New Jersey who noticed that their power bill kept going up, even though they were actually using less electricity than usual. Well, it turns out it's due to an overall supply cost. Basically, when the total amount of electricity usage in an area goes up, power companies tend to pass those higher costs onto their customers. And for the past several years, electricity usage has been skyrocketing, with over half of that increase coming solely from data centers. Your utility bill is going up because Elon Musk wants to pretend to have a girlfriend. You see, AI doesn't just exist in some theoretical space. It has to be trained on trillions of gigabytes of data, and that data has to be stored in a physical location. To power this, it requires an absurd amount of electricity, which generates an absurd amount of heat, which then requires an absurd amount of water to cool off. Most of these buildings use over 1 million gallons per day, roughly the equivalent of 10,000 people. This would be even more problematic if they were being built in areas where water is extremely scarce. So we should be good as long as we don't build a bunch of them in like the middle of the desert. Whoops. But to be fair, they are extremely efficient about it. They don't just use the water, they also poison it. Every part of this process is wasteful and destructive, and this is only the beginning. AI is still a relatively new phenomenon, so we're only just starting to see the effects of this. But the Department of Energy projects that the percentage of electricity used by data centers could nearly triple in just the next 3 years. And who gets to pay for it? We do. It's hard for me to accurately express how infuriating this is. The giant buildings that power this stupid fucking technology are being subsidized by people who just happen to live near them. Oh, but hold on, because they're technically contributing to the operating costs. So does that mean that they get to share in the eventual profits? No, of course not. They're more like involuntary investors, doing it for free. Or really, worse than free, because a lot of them are being kept awake at night by the deafening hum endlessly emitting from the factory shoved into the backyard of their homes that have now surely plummeted in value as a result. But hey, at least they're doing all of this to make a product that hopes to replace 80% of humanity. It's not enough that these people already own everything they could ever want. They could so easily afford to pay for these things without even noticing that that money is gone. But why would they do that when they could simply have poor people pay for it instead? Because nothing will ever be enough for them. You know, when a rich person makes some shady deal to screw over the working class, people will joke that they just need that money to buy their 4th yacht. And like, I don't even think it's that. They could buy 1,000 yachts and still not run out of money. They don't want to spend their wealth. They just want it to get bigger. It's the same obsession with seeing number go up that keeps me addicted to old school RuneScape, except the only life that's ruining is my own. What they have is a disease. They have been scourged with the blight of insatiable greed, cursed to an endless pursuit of wealth that will never bring them true happiness. I would almost feel bad for them if they weren't actively destroying the world in the process. One of the most frustrating things about this problem is that if you even try to suggest that maybe these guys should just have a little bit less money, like you guys can still be rich, whatever, just turn it down a notch because you're kind of making shit terrible for everybody else, you're treated like you're crazy. No, this is the American way. If you don't like it, then leave. And yet these ideas aren't radical. They're not even new. Most people who advocate for a more progressive tax system are only calling for a return to something that used to exist in this country. We just forgot about it. So I think it's important to do a little history lesson here.
If you can believe it, there was a time where the working class in this country actually had it really good. And it was mostly because things got so bad during the Great Depression that the government was worried about the country collapsing. Thousands of banks had closed, millions of people lost their entire life savings, unemployment peaked at 25%. So in fear of a revolution happening, the government was like, all right, fine, we'll give you livable wages. Just please put that musket down. I don't like the way you're looking at me. So the New Deal was born, and with it came Social Security, better labor standards, the right to unionize, a national minimum wage, an 8-hour workday. And over the next 2 to 3 decades, America became the most prosperous country on earth. Productivity skyrocketed and wages rose with them. Extra profits weren't just redistributed to employees, but their employers were proud to do it. They would brag about how lucrative it was to work for them. Look, 37% of profits went to our employees last year because this is a team effort, and when we win, they win. In 1943, Johnson & Johnson puts out this mission statement that's like, here's our list of priorities in order. Customers number 1, we gotta make good products. Employees number 2, everyone who works here needs to feel valued and respected. Our community number 3, we all wanna live in a better world, and as a company of our size, we feel like it's our responsibility to contribute to that however we can. And finally, all the way at the bottom, our shareholders can just have whatever's left left. Of course, we need to make a profit to survive and grow, but that should just come naturally as a byproduct of focusing on these three tenets. Compared to modern corporate standards, this is all such a foreign concept that it almost sounds like it's coming from a fictional universe. But this actually happened. This was just America 70 years ago. Now, during this time, what do you think the tax rate was on the wealthiest Americans? For reference, in 2025, the highest income tax bracket is supposed to be around 24%, but because of how many ways there are to circumvent the rules, it often ends up being as little as 3%. For someone like Elon Musk, who doesn't take a salary from Tesla and instead just owns a large percentage of its stock, as long as he doesn't sell any of that stock, then technically there's no income to tax him on. Now, he can still leverage the value of those stocks to make purchases, you know, like how money works, but it's still not taxable because of the rules. This is how people like him and Jeff Bezos can be, in terms of net worth, two of the richest people on the planet, and in some years pay $0 in taxes. In the middle of the 20th century, the tax rate on the ultra wealthy was not 3% or 20% or even 50%. It was between 70 and 94%. It honestly sounds crazy, but even a lot of the people being taxed understood that it was necessary for society to continue to exist. And having a strong middle class was a crucial investment into the future of the country. But I don't know, man, I just think it's kind of interesting that during what's referred to as the golden age of capitalism, the government did a bunch of socialism. During the period of time that birthed the idea of the American dream, the government was taxing the absolute shit out of the richest Americans and using that money to provide jobs and welfare programs for everybody else. A single income household working a regular ass job could afford to start a family, buy a house, send their kids to college, and retire at a reasonable age. No wonder people who grew up then gush about capitalism the way they do, because for them, it was great. But at this point, it is disingenuous to use that time period as the example for why capitalism works, because that version of it stopped existing a long time ago. The generation of people who started as beneficiaries of a more equitable system changed the rules once the roles were reversed and they had the power. So what the hell happened? Everything was going great. What changed? Well, there were a lot of things, obviously, but one of the first big dominoes was the US's involvement in the Vietnam War, which was expensive and deadly, but to be fair, also accomplished nothing. And this had long-term ramifications. America had been diverting so much money away from manufacturing and towards defense that it opened the door for other growing industrialized countries to surpass them. More and more products were becoming cheaper to import than they were to produce. This led to factories getting shut down, unemployment starting to creep back up. A recession hits, and we're now facing a pivotal fork in the road in the late 70s. Either we could go back to what worked in the past, prioritize the working class, reinvest into our own infrastructure, try to help lift people out of poverty they've fallen into through no fault of their own. Or we say, fuck the government, we don't owe you shit, we're stupid, isn't that right? I don't even know my own name. Exactly, the deal is you pay taxes and we don't do anything. And you like that, right? They like that? Sounds good to me. The prevailing philosophy throughout the 80s became trickle-down economics. The logic being, oh man, these rich people are really handcuffed. You know, I bet if we lower the corporate tax rate from 70 all the way to eventually 28%, then companies will use all that extra money to pay their employees more. I mean, if there's one thing we know about rich people, is that they're always looking out for the little guy. Now, for some reason, this hasn't worked out yet, but it's only been 55 years, so the jury's still out. See, I would argue that part of the reason why companies in the 40s and 50s were so generous with their extra profits was because the tax rate was so high. I mean, think about it. If you're faced with the decision between giving a huge chunk of money to the government or redistributing it back to the employees who helped you earn it in the first place, you would be much more likely to do the latter, because it's an investment in your own company. It's a mutually beneficial exchange. Well-compensated workers are proven to be more loyal and more productive, and those are two things that you want. Now, there were other factors as well, loosening a lot of anti-monopoly regulations, the legalization of stock buybacks, but this dramatically lower tax rate is a big reason why the 80s serves as the dividing line on just about every economic graph you could look at. This was the beginning of a long and continuous transfer of wealth from the working class to the top 1%. And while it would be very easy to just blame all of this on then President Reagan, that would only be mostly true. Sure, this new approach opened the door for more exploitation and greed, but you still needed a few scumbags willing to go through that door for the evolution to be complete. And nobody sprinted through it faster than one man. The real-life cartoon villain who designed the blueprint that most modern CEOs are still following to this day. His name was Jack Welch, and he's often referred to as the man who broke capitalism. During his tenure as CEO of General Electric, he turned the once quintessential American company that reshaped people's lives and supplied hundreds of thousands of high-paying jobs all across the country into a worthless carcass and a joke of a corporation, all while he became one of the richest people on the planet. In the century before Jack Welch took the reins, GE invented things like X-ray machines, jet engines, TVs, radios, and just about any kitchen appliance you can think of. In the 1980s, Jack invented laying people off. That was his big idea. What if we just fire a bunch of people? And then we don't have to spend as much money. It seems so simple and obviously very commonplace today, but before Jack, companies were not doing this. It was almost seen as un-American to fire somebody unless you absolutely had to. But Jack didn't think like everybody else. He was a pioneer. He bravely instituted the rank and yank system, where every year the bottom 10% of employees would get laid off no matter what. Not because they all deserved to be fired, but just because they fell on the wrong side of a spreadsheet. What's that? You were 3 years away from retirement and now you no longer qualify for pension? Okay. Then die. And to be clear, the layoffs were also not because the company wasn't profitable. It very much was, but it just wasn't profitable enough. See, when you routinely shut down entire facilities, you uproot thousands of lives, you create a toxic and selfish work environment where loyalty is replaced with fear, and if you're a company with the size and influence that GE had at the time, you can almost single-handedly destroy any semblance of a middle class across all of America. But this number gets a little bit bigger. So it's kind of a fair trade. GE was at the forefront of this countrywide philosophical transition from an economy that cared about making things and rewarding the labor it took to do so, to an economy that only cared about shareholder value and would prioritize anything it could to make that number go up. But the thing about the stock market is, it's mostly just about perception. As long as something seems to be growing in value, then people will be more likely to invest in it, which will in turn cause it to be more valuable, even if it shouldn't be. A lot of what Jack did during his time as CEO did not make the company better, but it did make it bigger. And in the eyes of Wall Street, that was all that mattered. I mean, come on, a business that relies on something boring like selling products can only grow so much. But a company that's constantly acquiring other companies simply has no ceiling. I mean, they could be worth infinity dollars when you think about it. So that's what they did. Over the next few decades, GE bought and sold hundreds of companies, and Jack was lauded for his brilliance because from the outside, everything seemed to be working. I mean, sure, they were becoming a bloated, nonsensical hodgepodge of unrelated businesses, eroding the company's infrastructure and prioritizing constant quarterly gains over any long-term sustainability, but no one gives a shit because the stock price has never been high. They've stumbled upon an infinite money glitch. They're just alchemizing value out of thin air. It gets to a point where the company founded by Thomas Edison doesn't even make their own light bulbs anymore. It's cheaper to get them somewhere else. Who cares? All they care about now is their ballooning financial division. They're issuing high-interest loans. They become a massive holder of subprime mortgages, a famously good investment to make in the early 2000s. Literally whatever it took to juice the numbers, that's what they would do. After about 30 years of short-term decisions that received instant gratification from shareholders but were gradually making things worse for the company and its dwindling number of employees, GE had become severely overvalued. And it wasn't until right after Jack retired with his $400 million severance package where his successors stepped in and were like, "Wait, this doesn't make any sense." The time bomb Jack planted explodes in their faces, and GE spends the next 20 years slowly bleeding out. And at this point, they couldn't fall back on just like selling microwaves because they'd been cutting corners on production so long that nobody wanted to buy any of their shitty garbage anymore. And of course, they had fallen way too far behind on innovation because they spent all their money on acquisitions instead of research. By 2021, the company that helped bring electricity to America was mercifully laid to rest, split into 3 separate institutions, none of which have come close to the dominance or influence that GE once had over the American economy. But here's the thing. You know who isn't affected at all by the cataclysmic downfall of General Electric? Jack Welch, because he's dead now. He already got to live his entire life of luxury and adoration without ever having to deal with the fallout caused by his actions. He took control of a building with a rock-solid foundation and just kept scrapping it for parts until the only thing left for it to do was collapse under its own weight. But by that point, he was long gone. I believe that this is the goal of those who now follow in his footsteps. They don't need to care about whether or not what they're doing is harmful or unsustainable. As long as the facade can be maintained long enough for them to reap the rewards, it doesn't matter that the ship is sinking behind them because they have a lifeboat. It doesn't matter that America spent the past 60 years exporting all its jobs and decimating the economies of small towns all across the country because a few hundred people responsible for those things already got to live long, happy lives. They don't give a shit.
This cutthroat corporate culture that Jack pioneered is still seen all around us today, and through the magic of time, it's only getting worse. CEOs make $1,000 every second, while their employees have to piss in water bottles so they don't fall behind. Routine layoffs, regardless of if a company is even struggling, are so normalized that it's just something we've come to expect. The stock market rules the world. Every major decision is dictated by this inherently volatile and short-sighted metric, and look at where that's gotten us. Millions without jobs, an enshittification epidemic, and a concentration of wealth that should be seen as a threat to humanity. Even while owning everything, billionaires live in fear of losing it, so they weasel their way into politics, they influence elections, they buy policy changes, they use their wealth to reshape the world to benefit them even further. They try to control narratives by buying up news outlets. They can dictate what's on our social media feeds. They spend an enormous amount of resources on pitting us all against each other, so we're too distracted to see that the real problem is them.
Should the human race survive?
Everything kind of sucks right now, and as a result, most people are justifiably pretty angry. But for media outlets and politicians, that anger is their single most powerful tool because they can tell you where to direct it. And they don't even really care who it is, so long as it's not them. That's why it changes all the time. Sometimes it's trans people, sometimes it's immigrants. Most recently, it's been poor people. There's been this whole war going on over food stamps because when the government shut down, 42 million Americans lost access to SNAP benefits. Now that's an objective piece of information, an inarguable statistic, but depending on how it's presented to you, it may lead you to draw a drastically different conclusion than somebody else. For some, it might put into perspective how dire the situation has gotten. Like surely there's underlying issues with a system that's allowed 12% of its population to be unable to afford food. Alternatively, you might hear that and think, wait a minute, my tax dollars are paying for these greedy freeloaders? I'm busting my ass over here to barely make ends meet, and these leeches are using my money to buy cookies? That's not fair. And all it takes is highlighting a story or two of someone taking advantage of the system to make you think there's this rampant issue, that you're expected to feed all of these people with money you barely have enough of to feed yourself. This narrative has been used since the 70s because it's very effective. You work hard, they're lazy, this program is bad. It's easier than ever now to push this narrative because you can just AI generate a video of a fat lady screaming in Walmart and get everyone pissed off. But in order to properly analyze this, let's take a look at the data. First of all, SNAP only makes up about 1.5% of the overall federal budget. Less than 1/8 of what we spend on defense and 1/8 of what we spend just on interest on the debt that we owe. By my math, cutting this program would only save the average taxpayer a couple $100s a year. And of course, that's assuming that if they were to cut it, they would send you a refund in the mail. No, I'm pretty sure they would still take the same amount, but instead of reinvesting it into the economy, which is what SNAP ultimately does, they would just buy some more missiles or send a pile of cash to Argentina. Second of all, by definition, the majority of SNAP recipients fall under the umbrella of elderly, disabled, veterans, full-time caretakers, or just temporarily unemployed. Remember, not everybody who isn't working does so because they don't want to. It is very hard to find and keep a job right now. The fact that SNAP spending ebbs and flows so closely with the overall state of the economy should be proof that this program is primarily used for temporary relief. Even still, many of the people on SNAP do work, and about 70% of the ones that do work full time. That doesn't seem like a laziness problem, that seems like a wage problem. They need supplemental income to survive because of how little they're being paid. Of those full-time employees, their two most common employers were McDonald's and Walmart, who combined to earn $23 billion in profits last year. $23 billion, and you're telling me they can't afford to pay their employees enough so that they don't need government assistance? See, what that means is you wouldn't have to help pay for these people's food if their employer, a nearly $1 trillion corporation, just paid them a livable wage. You're more upset at the people using the program than the companies who have put them in a position where they even need it in the first place. Also, Walmart double dips here. The majority of food stamps are redeemed at Walmart. So not only do they save money by underpaying their staff, but their revenue then gets subsidized by this program, because that's where people tend to use it. Final statistic, about a third of SNAP recipients, over 12 million of them, are children. What's the argument there? Are they not working hard enough? What, you don't want to get a job just because you're 7? Like, can we stop for 1 second to think about what you're saying here? You have let somebody convince you that in this situation, the only way to make your life better is if 12 million children starve. So I want to ask, who is more to blame here? A bunch of kids who got born into poverty, or CEOs with more money than anybody could spend in 1,000 lifetimes, who expect you to solve the problem that they helped create?
For some people, it doesn't matter what you say about capitalism, they will still go to war for it, even if it's not working for them. Statistically speaking, it's probably not. You'll try to criticize a multi-billionaire who's not paying enough taxes, and people will defend them like, hey, it's not their fault, they're just taking advantage of loopholes like any smart business person would. And you're like, okay, so then we agree there's a problem with the rules, right? If they're just exploiting the system, then maybe the system shouldn't be so easy to exploit. We've reached a point where a lot of the core principles of a free market no longer apply. Like the idea that you can vote with your dollar. I get to pick which businesses I support, therefore the best ones will succeed and the worst ones will fail. Yeah, except when one company is allowed to corner the market and price out all their competition, suddenly there isn't any.
And we would have small businesses tell us if they walked into a Walmart or a Costco, the retail price at those stores, the price on the shelves at those stores, is lower than the wholesale price a small business is getting. And so there are huge disparities here.
And that's now feeding into itself, right? The more dire the economy is for everyone, the less freedom they have when they're deciding what to pay for. Amazon is certainly not the only place to buy things, but historically speaking, it's almost always the cheapest and most convenient. So how do you convince somebody who's also been forced to pinch pennies due to their own circumstances that they need to spend more time and money buying that same thing from a local mom and pop shop when they could just click 3 buttons and have it magically appear at their door in 3 hours? It's not even really fair to impose that because that person is also struggling. But then the cycle continues. The small business closes, Amazon and Walmart extend their reach even further, and once all competition is defeated, then they can just raise the prices to be whatever they want. They can train an algorithm to charge you the maximum price they think you'll pay at any given moment. Now, one of the most common counter arguments you'll hear if you bring up the idea of raising taxes on the ultra wealthy is that, well, if you do that, they're just gonna leave. First of all, no, they're not. That's a bluff they've been using for years, perpetuated by media networks owned by, you guessed it, rich people who don't want their taxes to go up. Sure, a few of them might leave, but the kinds of people who are willing to go to the trouble of moving their entire business from New York City to like Kissimmee, Florida, are probably already doing everything they can to avoid paying any taxes at all. It doesn't seem like a very productive mindset to cater to this parasitic minority at the expense of everybody else. Second of all, oh my God, can we grow some fucking balls here?
You don't understand. They're not gonna like it if we raise their taxes.
Do you hear yourself? Do you hear how pathetic you sound? Okay, so what, we can't do anything then? That's it? It's over, they won? Your plan is that we should just give up and let the billionaires have whatever they want. Buddy, we've already tried that, and that's not working either. Third of all, this criticism is predicated on an idea that taxation essentially has a bell curve to it, where after a certain rate, your overall revenue actually decreases because people will lose the incentive to work as hard or, like you're saying, move away. With this in mind, there have been studies done by economists who believe that every country has its its own ideal rate for maximum efficiency. However, the implication that raising taxes would cause the overall revenue to go down would only be true if we were on the tail end of this bell curve, and we are nowhere close to that. So if your main concern is to maximize total revenue, it's pretty clear which direction we should be moving in. Otherwise, the very metric your point is referencing contradicts the argument you're trying to make. Now, even having said all of that, I'm not going to sit here and act like just raising taxes is an immediate fix to all of our problems, because we'd still have to rely on elected officials to actually use that money in a sensible way. I'd be happy to contribute more if I knew it was going to better healthcare or nicer parks or public transportation, but if my money's just going to be used to blow up a hospital on the other side of the world, then yeah, maybe I'd rather just give it to a food bank. I don't know all the answers, because at the end of the day, no matter how hard I try to expand my legacy beyond it, I'm still just the road work ahead guy. But I do know that this amount of wealth inequality that's showing zero signs of slowing down anytime soon is not sustainable. Turns out that actually every single thing in the world becoming a for-profit commodity, from housing to healthcare, is just a way to enrich a few people at the cost of many. And I have to wonder if we've finally reached a point now where the greed has gone too far, that it's now so impossible to ignore that no amount of gaslighting about how the economy is good actually will convince people who are dying because they can't afford to go to the doctor that this is just how life should be. History shows that unfortunately sometimes things have to get worse before they can get better, and if this is what it takes for a return to class solidarity, then I guess at least we're closer to that than we've been in a long time. We just need to put down our phones, set aside our differences for a little bit, and unite on this one issue. They want us divided because they're afraid of how strong we would be if we stood together. Do not fall for it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go argue on Reddit about how Ghost of Yote is woke because they didn't make the main character hot enough for me. Thank you for watching.